But we'd have some pre-show chats. Pre-show chats. If my words aren't working already, this is going to be hilarious. Oh, man. Hull! It's all right. You made it. You made it, Oates. Don't worry. Relax. Relax. Gang, welcome on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thought we'd have some pre-show chats. See how everyone's going. It's all right. It's all right. Don't stress. No stress. No stress. But welcome on in. The music's loud. But yeah, we've got some we've got the show today. The show we've been talking about all week. All week. You excited? Level 2. Words on Stream, gang. If you guys want to play Words on Stream, feel free to do so. It's just an anagram, and you write the words that you see in the anagram in chat, and it registers. So feel free to join in if you'd like. We'll probably kick off the introduction of the show in the next like 20 minutes or so. While I sip on my coffee, because I'm not really going to be having a break. It's pretty much going to be full on. Just a bit of an itinerary of what's going on. We're essentially going to be starting off with just our normal introduction, saying hi and stuff. And then we are going to probably spend about half an hour or so just chatting, just talking about Escape Simulator. And just as a whole, give a little bit of a brief summary of one of Zesty's latest levels, which is Devilish Diorama 2. We're going to watch the trailer. Then we're going to introduce Zesty. He's going to be coming up on stage in VR, in Rec Room, in the studio that I built, which, yeah, it's pretty cool. And, it's, you know how yesterday, how you joked about we should have like a fake audience, like an applause and stuff? I did it. I did it. I did it. I've got a trigger. I've got a trigger so an audience play like a... Thank you very much, Zesty. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. You like the additions out the back? I've made a back room where there's a bowling alley, a pool table, a basketball hoop, and a bar. So, you know, little things here and there. Little bit of a luxury for the guests that come on. Look, and if this works out well, you feel like a celebrity. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's the vibe that I'm trying to go for. I'm trying to imitate as much as possible. You know, a real live show. And look, if it works out, if this goes well, this is the trial. This is the pilot, Zesty. But I've had this idea. I've had this idea for such a long time. I just haven't executed it because I just didn't. I just didn't feel like it was the right time. I was getting very invested into other things. So, but I'm very, very, very happy to have you on as my first guest. Do you like the name the name of the show? Behind the Room? Is that what I called it? I can't even remember now. Level 3, let's go. You guys are killing it. Coffee hot. But yeah, I've been awake since like 4 o'clock. So let's go. 30 out of 36. You love the title? Awesome. And yeah, Zesty, look, if you want to come on sooner, you always can. But yeah, basically, I'll see you walk past. And you can go around. You know a ton of other creators that would love to stop by? Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Oh, you're already out the back? Are you? I can't look because I'm on screen mode. That's great. All right, well then I won't have to stall as much. what I'll do is I'll finish up some of my coffee. I'll get set up. You guys continue enjoying your words on stream. Let you finish that up. And then we'll probably just get straight into it. If Zesty's already out backstage, I won't keep you waiting for longer than you need to be. And yeah, I'll do the introduction and play. I'll play the trailer for your for Devilish Diorama 2. And then I'll announce you to come out on stage, and then you can come out, and hopefully everything works. So enjoy your bowling or whatever you're doing out the back. Yeah, I built that all last night. I'll have to show a bit behind the scenes one day, maybe tomorrow. Did we play the second one already? No, we did. We played all of them. We played all of Zesty's levels in one sitting. So, all right. Keep kicking goals, gang. I'm still drinking my coffee. Sitting? Robbie MCD? Someone's using the app. You know we got some real words on stream players when they use the app. I love it. I love it. Killing it. Level 5. Let's go. Alright, gang. I'm going to get set up. The idea was that I was gonna play one of Zesty's levels in editor mode and be directed around, but I stress tested it yesterday and it was a little bit unstable. So we're gonna play it by ear. We might even play a level together on co-op. We'll see. But enough chit chat. You continue playing words on stream. I'm gonna get set up, get in VR, and I'll see you all soon.
Yo, what is up, my dudes? That's the non-binarinos. Welcome on into the show. Hope you like my little intro. I mean, a little bit of the theme song. A little bit of the theme song. What's up, gang? How's it going? Welcome on in. Here we are, finally, the day that we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for this day for the past week or so. We've been talking about it on stream every single day. We've been playing Escape Simulator every single day. I am excited. I am ready to jump on into it. But for those who don't know, what's happening today is that we have a wonderful guest joining us on the couch to discuss Behind the Room from Escape Simulator. So levels being created, rooms being created, awesome creations. And we have a few other members of the community hanging out in chat. Welcome on in, gang. Get off my beard. Welcome. Oates, thank you for being here. All of the homies jumping on in, the regulars. Thank you all for being here. But look, let's go jump over to the couch and we'll sit down. We'll play a little bit of a trailer and then we'll invite our guest out who's hanging out at the back here. We got some cool stuff out there. We got like a basketball hoop. We got like a pool table. We got bowling. There's all this stuff, entertainment for the guests. Only first class. So we're gonna go jump over onto the couch. Go sit down. Let's go. Hopefully my controller drift doesn't mess up too much, so we'll see what happens. But welcome. So, how's it going, gang? Let's see who's here. Oates, Zesty's hanging out in chat. What, you hanging out in chat and you're hanging out back? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're doing both. You're multitasking. So wait, I can hear you laughing at the back. So, welcome on in, gang. What we're gonna do is we're gonna play a trailer for Zesty's latest level, which is Devilish Diorama 2. I only got two fingers. Devilish Diorama 2. And what we're gonna be doing today, we're gonna have a little bit of a chat about some of the levels, go through things here and there. Robbo, welcome on in, and the rest of the crew. Hope you enjoy the show. But let's go ahead and watch this wonderful trailer. And then we'll introduce Zesty to come on out. And we'll get stuck into it. So, let's jump on into that video that should be around somewhere. It'll be nice if there's anyone that wants to help out with production. It'll be really great because doing this as a one man is it can be a little full on sometimes, but she'll be right, mate. She'll be right. There we go. Hey, it's like I knew what I was doing. Alrighty. Let me know if the balances are okay, gang. Because this is very last minute.
Messages. Howdy.
All right, and there we have it, gang. There we have it. Zesty's latest level. If you haven't played any of Zesty's levels, I highly recommend checking that out before anything else. Hey, look, we got some awesome green screen action going on there. But yeah, if you because we just a heads up, if you haven't played any of those levels, we are going to be talking about the levels, so it's going to be a little bit spoilery, okay? But without further ado, introducing our guest for today, Zesty. Come on out, Zesty. Hey.
How's it going?
How's it going, man? Welcome on in. Take a seat. Oh, you sat in. That's my seat. What are you doing? You
I
sitting
stole
here?
your seat.
You
My
stole
bad,
my
my
seat.
bad.
You can sit in one of those seats. It doesn't matter which seat you sit in. You can sit in that one. That's fine. But welcome. How's it going, man?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I feel so honored.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and change the angle. There we go. We're in the right position now. But here we are. So camera's there. You can see it'll move around everywhere. But welcome on in, Zesty. How is it going?
I'm good. Just working on my new rooms. Making bug fixes to my last one. Just chilling, going to school, going to work. Meeting fantastic streamers like yourself. I love what you've done with the set.
Thank you.
Very bougie.
So what were you playing out the back?
I was playing some hoops. I was trying to beat my own high score. I got like 9. Gonna try to beat it next time.
Nice. Yeah. So last night, for those, it's only VIP, people that are on the show that can get back here. But we got some entertainment out the back. We got basketball. We got a bar out there. There's no alcohol though, unfortunately. But I don't know what it's like. How do you drink alcohol in VR?
I wouldn't know.
So I'm just making sure, just checking in on chat. Gang, can you just ensure that we have good balance? Well, am I facing this way? Good audio balances and everything like that, just to make sure that we have that all sorted out beforehand, before we jump on into it. Best part is the table has no legs. It's floating. Look at it. It's a magical table. The wonders of VR. But hopefully you guys can hear Zesty fine. It actually seems like it's a little bit low. Can you just give me yeah, no, not for it's audio levels on my side. Go ahead and just do a little bit of a mic check 1 2.
Hello, testing, mic check 1 2 1 2 3.
That's much better. Cool. Awesome. All right. Wonderful. So Zesty, just so for people that don't know who you are, or don't know what Escape Simulator is, do you want to just give us a little bit of an example or a little bit of a rundown on what you do, who you are? Because this isn't the way that people normally know you. You're in my realm, as one of my guests. This is my where I hang out in the rec rooms. But for those who don't know who you are, just a little bit of an idea and a little bit of a rundown.
So I am a creator for Escape Sim. Escape Simulator is a game on Steam, and you can have virtual escape rooms that are both created by the developers of the game, and also anyone can create escape rooms for Escape Simulator. And there's a little community of us. We have our own little Discord, and it's awesome. You can just go in, you can create your own rooms, set up keys and locks and puzzles, and the best part is anyone can pick it up, and it's so cool. And the creativity that people have shown up is amazing. I've met some of the coolest creators on there. People who don't just make escape rooms for fun, but they're also artists or singers, or they mix their own music, or play instruments, and they all bring in their own flavor and taste into Escape Simulator. And and I'm also part of that community, and I've made a couple of maps. I was involved in some contests, and it's just great. It's just fantastic meeting streamers such as Dr. Polly. That's how we met. Dr. Polly was streaming all of my maps. He played through all 5 of them at this point. It's crazy. And just fantastic getting to meet people. Yeah.
So basically what happened was that I only just started recently playing Escape Simulator, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I fell in love with the game. I absolutely love it. I played through the main story campaign, and then I discovered that there were community rooms. And once I had started looking around, come to think of it, I think Get Off My Beard. What was the most recent level that Get Off My Beard played? I think was that the subway heist. Was that Get Off My Beard?
Yeah, I saw you playing that. That's a really good one.
So that was actually the very first community level that I played offline. And then I was like, I love it. Like I was just like, the creativity behind it, I didn't realize that the game had that much diversity in what can be actually done. And then, we decided to start playing around with, on stream over on Twitch. So for those who don't know, my primary location for streaming is generally over on Twitch. But I have been moving over to YouTube kind of, slowly but surely make my transition over here. But yeah, that's where I normally am. But we started playing a little bit of some of the community levels on stream, and yours was the first ones that we actually started looking at. And I believe we were going through the best of September. And I believe that yours was up. Devilish Diorama 2 was up there for best of September 2022. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, basically, we ended up once we saw that it was a second, level of Devilish Diorama, then we're like, look, we can't play the second one without playing the first one, right? So we ended up going over to Zesty's workshop page on Steam, and then finding the first level of Devilish Diorama, and we loved it. We had a really, really good time playing it, and we loved it so much that we ended up playing Devilish Diorama 2, and then we played the Ominous. We played Perplexing Paintings.
Perplexing Paintings.
And then Ominous Obelisk. You really like naming your levels like a mouthful, don't you? Is that
what?
What?
No,
what?
That's just a coincidence.
That's a coincidence.
Yeah, big fan of alliteration.
Yeah, I noticed. But massive, props to those levels. They're very well done. And like I said, even going back down to your first published level, which was the Perplexing Paintings. I had some help from chat being able to get through that one, because I got stuck. Yeah. I got stuck. We did pretty well, but again, for those who haven't played any of these levels, I highly recommend, if you're here, live watching at the moment, to probably leave, go play the levels, and come back. Or if you're here afterwards watching the VOD, I highly recommend pausing the video now, jumping into Escape Simulator, playing these levels before we start talking about them, because experiencing them blind and going in them without any expectations on knowing what's going on, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. So I, for my first real introduction into what community maps can be like, it was a wonderful experience, and I have played several levels now, and I've gotten stuck in some, and I've gotten glitched
You're going
out
through the
in
whole
some.
2022 list.
Yeah. So I'm going through every single level. There are some that are actually co-op levels. So I don't know. Maybe if you guys want to see a stream with Zesty and I playing some of those co-op levels, we could do that. So
Ooh.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
Nice,
yeah, it's very, very fascinating, the amount of creativity that the whole community has. So. What are your favorite parts of the levels? What are your favorite ones that you've worked on? Do you want to give us some sort of ideas of everything that you sort of work from? Because I noticed that you started streaming, publishing rooms. The first room was in January of 2022.
Yeah, January. The game came out in September, so it's a year old now. When I jumped into it, some of my favorites were Duck's levels. He did Get Me Out. He did Clockwork Inc. Fantastic levels. He put out Under the Sea. That's very popular. And he won the most recent contest. And by the way, Escape Sim does contests. That's a really great way that the Escape Sim devs engage their community. They're amazing. Pine Studios is the best. So Duck's a fantastic creator. Seiko, another one. He was a huge inspiration for me. He did The Motel. I'm not sure if you played his maps yet. He did a Grandma's Kitty, a super talented creator. I think my favorite experience with all of Escape Sim was working on the collab, which you also played. That was me and 11 other creators. And that was when I got to, really talk to people, really get to see what they do, because we all came together with a common theme, which was board games. and we all created part of a room. It was a massive effort. It was a huge pain in the ass to set up, but it was so cool because you could go to each room and you could see just how everyone's room is like unique to that creator. Like you could tell instantly without even knowing who created it.
Yeah, and for those who don't know what that is, but basically, it's a massive room. We did end up playing it. It took me 5 hours. It took me 5 hours. So just to give you a bit of a an idea of how long this level is, it's a gauntlet. It is absolutely a gauntlet. I highly recommend not doing it in one sitting.
Ambitious.
If anyone wants to attempt to play the board game, so it's stop halfway and come back. But yeah, 5 hours and 3 mental breakdowns. That's correct, Oates. So it was good. We got there. I was about to give up right at the end, but I'm really, really happy that I did. I was able to experience a little taste of different creators and what they have made, and I've been able to, been fortunate enough to play a lot of their levels as well, including yours, of course, that I've been able to see that sort of same design. Melonverse is another one that was, you could tell from the levels that was, because that was the potions one where it was
like the magic style.
the magic ones, and then Melonverse also has the Harry Potter themed levels, as well as the one of the latest levels that we played of theirs was the Noir and NYC. Fantastic. So that is another phenomenal level. Again, I had to do that in 2 sittings. I got stuck. But for those who are a little bit intimidated by, maybe approaching Escape Simulator or approaching like escape rooms, if you've never really played them before, there are hints, right? So if you do get stuck, typically speaking, in the base game, there's definitely hints, but typically speaking, most of the creators do include some, hints or sort of, clues that can guide you in a way that you can figure out these puzzles if you really, really do get stuck. The thing with me is that I don't like to use hints. I like to put myself through torture, smash my head against a brick wall as hard as possible over and over again until I find the solution, and if I can't find the solution, then I'll come back to it another day, so you definitely don't have to play it the way that I play it. But so if you guys would play the board games, I could almost guarantee that it wouldn't take you 5 hours. If you maybe you reckon? What do you think?
It's a lot easier with more people. 2 heads are better than one. I've seen people do it in 2 hours. That seems to be like the average for multiplayer. So, and multiple sessions, take breaks. It's all good.
Yeah. I think that's the thing as well, like taking breaks and whatnot. I think that's important. So, unlike me, that doesn't take any breaks. So, we have some, and just for anyone that's in chat, anyone that's hanging out here at the moment, if you do want to ask any questions, towards the end of the show, just hold on to your questions. If there are anything that you want to ask Zesty or myself or anyone else that's in chat, because I know that there's a few people from the community that's in there also. If you do want to ask any questions, just let me know sort of towards the end, and we'll make sure that we try and cover them if we have time on our side. So what's upcoming? So we had a little bit of a chat about a few of the levels. We will go into a little bit more detail on the levels that you've made. But is there new things on the horizon? Are you working on new levels as well?
Yeah. So in the Zestyverse, as I like to call it, I have I plan to do 8 more rooms that are planned right now. So I have 4 right now, and I'm gonna have 8 more, and they're all alliterated, of course. The next one I'm working on is Inversion Incorporated. That's gonna be coming out probably January. I feel like my room releases are getting longer and longer.
They're getting more complex.
Before, yeah, it's crazy. Perplexing Paintings took me like a week, and Devilish Diorama 1 took me like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the contest map, the Ominous Obelisk, took me 11 days. Well, because it was a contest, it was time limited. Devilish Diorama 2 took me 4 months, and I could have kept working on it, but I just stopped myself. So I kind of have to figure out a better schedule. I want to get more rooms out more frequently, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm working on Inversion Incorporated. That I want to work on some couple of new rooms. And I was thinking I could just skip into Devilish 3 right away, but I feel that's a bit of a disservice just to do one series of rooms, just kind of like
space them out.
I mean,
I think the one of the problems, or I wouldn't say problems, but one of the limitations with the browser in Escape Simulator is that it's great that you know that we've got like the top 2020 that's in there, the top dailies and stuff like. It's really cool. Like it definitely has people that are able to get exposure, new room creators and whatnot, being able to be within the game itself, but I did only because I have had experience with the Steam Workshop and I know how to navigate around it and whatnot. I feel a little bit more comfortable, but I can definitely see how a lot of people wouldn't even know how to find, Devilish Diorama 1, for example. So it's I don't know how that could be improved, but have you found that there's a lot of people that have played, specifically talking about Devilish Diorama because you have had 1 and 2. Do you feel like that 1 has been like overlooked a little bit or not played as much? What are your thoughts on that, basically?
it is an older map. It came out in March. I do find a lot of streamers find Devilish 2 because it's like on the popular September playlist right now, and they'll jump into it. And I even put up links like in game and on the Steam Workshop page, like go play Devilish 1 if you haven't. But they just kind of go into Devilish 2 anyways. I think, as you mentioned, it is intimidating. The browser is it needs a little bit of work. It's just a matter of communication. It's all there. It's just people get into it. They're kind of overwhelmed by everything. So they'll play through Devilish 2, and then they go back to play Devilish Wonder, and they like it, but they're like a little bit underwhelmed because I build a lot off of it. And there's like a story, so there's a lot of callbacks. So we'll see. I'm not really sure what the solution could be. Just maybe like creator pages or maybe profile spotlights. I don't know.
So one of the things that I do really like about your level designs, and honestly, a lot of the creators that a lot of the builders that make several levels, they putting your workshop links in as like basically a lobby, and then being able to sort of go from there. Is there? I'm curious because I haven't actually had any experience with the editor itself, and we did have intentions today, just to full disclosure, that we were going to be looking at some of like actual behind the scenes in level editor. Unfortunately, one of the limitations with the level editor is that it is single player. There is no co-op capability with the level editor at the moment. I'm sure that it will be something that may be implemented in the future, but who knows, right? So it does make it a little bit tricky. We may still give it a crack, but I was testing it out yesterday and I was having a little bit of instability with getting it running. But look, I'm really, really keen on doing that, and we will try. But we'll play it by ear. But the reason why I'm saying that is because I don't really have that much experience with it. From what you've shown me with a very brief sort of overview that we went over last week, flying around, that's pretty much all I know. I haven't clicked on any items or anything like that. So for someone that does want to get into building levels, what would your suggestions be? What would you recommend? Someone that's played the base game, someone that's like really enjoyed it, started to play a couple of community levels. What would be your advice for someone that really wants to get into it?
Yeah, for sure. If you want to get into Escape Sim, buy the game, of course. It's only $20. Which they priced super low so multiple people can play, which I think was an awesome move on their part. 20 Canadian dollars, sorry. And yeah, if you really want to try your hand at it, go for it. It's super easy. There's a couple of in-game tutorials that step you through the basic logic functions. It's super easy. You don't need to know how to code. You just have like this big list of props like tables, doors, keys, pots, and you can just like stick them in. You can rotate them, scale them, move them around, and it's super easy to set up just like a basic escape room. and you can wire things up with, simple logic, and it's just like analogs to programming concepts. Like we have like a lock object, and that's really just like a like an if-else condition which you'd have in programming, but it's just presented to you more easily.
So I've had,
and you can wire it. Yep.
Sorry, I've had similar, and anyone that's played, because a lot of the people that sort of pop past stream on YouTube, especially, I've noticed that are from Rec Room, right? Understandably, I consider myself as a Rec tuber, a variety streamer, which is kind of a unique concept. I don't really know anyone else that does that. But I don't really play Rec Room that much on stream anymore. But some of the levels here, basic concepts, like there's a barrier here that you can't walk past. The fact that these camera angles can move to different areas. There is a similar type of logic with that, by the sounds of it, where it's the way that you kind of wire things up together and are able to, essentially build a level within Rec Room as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can set up barriers. You can set up doors to unlock. You can set it so if you place like a key item on like a pedestal, it'll activate some of the trigger. It's very similar to like Rec Room or like Minecraft Redstone. It's all very visual, and there's an amazing escape sim creators community on the Pine Discord. You go there, ask your questions, and creators such as Robin, who's in chat, they're amazing. They'll just pop in right away. They'll tell you how to do it. They'll even set up asset packs so you can browse their collection of items to import into your rooms.
Yeah.
So if you need help, you can go to the Escape Simulator Discord.
And I can definitely confirm that as well. I've been in the Discord now for not too long. I think a couple weeks or a week or two, and just very welcoming, cool community. Brand new players that have come in that are stuck on different levels. Just stuck on the base game. People that are even coming in there that don't typically look at the hints, or they may not even really understand even the hints that come through. I don't know. I've never looked at the hints. I don't know. But you have new people that do come into the Discord as well that are just there to help out. Even with the base game. So highly recommended if you do enjoy the game to jump on into the Discord. It's a cool little community, and it really gets you kind of a little bit more behind the scenes and kind of understanding where a lot of these creators and how you guys have collaborated, and you can sort of tell even just from some of the people, their levels. It's very interesting. It was one of the things that you mentioned when I was playing your levels, specifically when I got up to your part in the board game, and you were like, I like the fact that you're trying to reverse engineer or kind of psychoanalyze type, or decipher the way that the level's been designed, because at that point I wasn't actually going to continue playing the game. I was like, I'm done. Yeah. I'm almost 5 hours into this, and your room was on the very last row. But for those who don't know, with the layout of that level is how many rooms? It's 12 rooms in total, isn't it?
12 rooms.
Yeah. Yep. So the way the layout of the room is, it's like a big hallway, and then you've got 3 rooms that you need to complete in order to move on to the next 3 rooms, and there's 4 rows of them. So you need to complete each room, each of the 3 prior rooms before you can move on to the next section. And Zesty's level is right at the end, right at the end, with another level, mind you, with probably one of the hardest. Right next to probably one of the hardest rooms you've spent. Like I said, I hope that most people don't do what I do and try and do it in one sitting. But it's. Yeah. I just pressed the camera. Get back there. That's the angle it was supposed to be on. I was too wide. Here we go. Oh, we're closer now. Look at this. I pressed the wrong button. Hey.
Great.
So as I was saying, is that the levels, right at the end, right next to Thoron's, and that broke my brain. Like I was stuck on it because first of all, what happened was, and I'm so happy that you're in chat to give me that little bit of a nudge because and you've helped out a couple of times. I think it was actually Thoron's level again, wasn't it? That I played where I
yeah, I did help
and you were in chat again. So yeah, it was I was right at the end, but basically the level is what's the game board after? What's it called? What's it designed after?
Othello and nonograms, or Picross as some people call
Yeah.
it, those two
But it was the Othello one, and it was I didn't understand that we needed to switch all of them over. And that's basically all that you told me because I spent about 20 minutes trying to like switch them over and I'm like, yeah, no, this isn't working. And then I was about to give up on the whole thing. And then I somehow miraculously figured it out. Reversey, Robbie says. I guess so. Yeah. But yeah, basically, very, very challenging room. I was ready to give up. I'm like, look, and then somehow I miraculously solve it. And then I'm like, all right, let's do this. Let's get into it. And I'm like, and,
it was glorious to behold.
Yeah. And I'm like, all right, let's go. And then I'm like, we'll play your level. And then we ended up playing your level and finishing it off. So it was definitely a gauntlet to get through all of that. But yeah, how was it with that sort of process with collaborating with everyone, especially not having the ability to have a co-op editor mode, which is I find incredibly insane that you were able to actually pull that off. How?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a miracle. It was so poorly optimized and broken for weeks. We thought we would never release it, but it just kind of worked in the end. So it was Mumbo's idea, another creator, and I stepped in to help him merge it. So I was the one responsible for stitching all the parts together. We used the fact you could import and export rooms into each other. I don't think they meant to import-export entire rooms. I think they meant like small parts of like chunks of rooms.
Yeah,
but
right.
Our plan was, no, we're going to import 12 whole rooms into one massive one. And it was insane. When you open this like behemoth, it tanks your FPS. I get like 5 FPS looking at it. So I try to spend as little time as possible. Before that, we set up guidelines. We're like, okay, you got to build your space in this little like 2x1 square or rectangle. You got to, add hints and skips.
So,
Sorry,
am I right in saying that each person exported the whole thing, or did they export just their portion of the room?
They just created their little own instance of their module, we called it, which was a 2x1 space. It had all their puzzles. It had like a door and
that's insane.
And it's a small space, but it was surprising how packed creators will like make it. So we had to kind of scale back a little bit. They just kind of like stuff it to the brims with like hundreds of little objects, all like physicsing and interacting. That's just the creators. They want to put all of their like soul into it. So we have to okay, you gotta step it back a bit.
you gotta tone it back a bit. You gotta tone it back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and the way that level is designed, I noticed that once you go past the you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Was there something on the couch? Was there?
Oh, I just my real life.
So I noticed that the level when you complete the 3 levels, you put the tokens in and you move forward into the next section. Then you can't go back, right? So it's like kind of like walls off.
Nope.
So how does that sort of mechanic work where it's able to is that loading a new room when you go into that section, or is it all one big room?
It's all one big room. The level editor doesn't let you like actually load parts in and out. You can kind of cheat. There's something called a visibility activator. It just kind of hides or shows like chunks of the room. So
Right, so it's culling?
And we're calling it basically, and we had to because like we could have had like 12 rooms loaded at once, but no one could run it essentially. So we found 3 at a time would work well, and we disabled backtracking so you can't load the previous room. So it was a technical
cool.
decision.
No, I think that one of the things that I love about just game design in general, looking back on like old retro games, is seeing the way that developers had limited resources readily available to them to be able to create things, and it brought out some really clever creativity, in the way that they're able to actually complete certain things. And that is something that I can see that happens across the board with most level creator, concepts of any sort of game. Obviously Rec Room is one that I can think of, and now of course Escape Simulator. But really using those limitations to your advantage really pushes out creativity. Do you feel like that was something that was something that you have felt like with the tools that are available to you, that have sort of forced you down a certain path that you wouldn't have necessarily taken previously?
Oh, absolutely. Those restrictions, just not like you couldn't import models in for the longest time, and also it was a non-trivial matter to implement complex logic. So that definitely was first like, oh, this kind of sucks. I can't do whatever I want. But then I found like it would like introduce even better ideas, just that sort of like restrictive design, or like it would push me to explore different ways to implement things. I know a lot of other creators like Gavatone. He's another fantastic creator. He's made some incredible things before they introduced model importing. He created like saxophones and trombones and big band instruments and pianos that are all fully functional with intricate little parts. And he only used like the given like spheres and rectangles and blocks, and like he would make like Victorian telephones. Just it's insane what people will do if you give them even the most primitive tools.
Yeah. I think that's something that's really cool about it as well, is that I've seen I was looking on the Discord yesterday, I think it was, and I'm not familiar with who the creator was, so apologies, but there was someone that linked a video, and they were testing a concept behind implementing codes from chat for streamers that can actually input the code into the lock that you're looking at. Did you happen to see that?
Yeah, I think it was just a proof of concept. It was like Twitch chat would be like integrated, and they would like input locks or like alter the state of the room that the player was in, which is awesome.
Yeah,
I don't think it's in the cards quite yet, but I mean,
of course. But like again, this is what I'm saying, is that like these sort of like limitations and having access to certain tools, like if that is something that can be implemented on a bigger scale, you're really opening up the opportunities of having almost like a full-on virtual, instance of an escape room that can be played completely integrated within chat, and obviously, again, it is very early stage and proof of concept, but that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just the other day, I saw on the Discord chat, someone, I forget who, they added like a dancing like scarecrow skeleton, and it was like all rigged up to the new Lua coding system, and Thoraniel helped code that, and it was just awesome. Like this was the first time that anyone's like modeled like an animated thing, and these are pretty trivial matters in like regular game engines, but like Pine Studios is like opening up to be like an actual game engine at this point. You can import in models and you can code things, and now the skill ceiling is just like just out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that like, one of the earliest sort of examples that I can think of when it comes down to, like we're talking about these limited tools and resources that you have available to create something. I think it was like Kirby's Dreamland, one of the first Kirby games. And they, because power-ups obviously a massive thing of Kirby. I love Kirby. Kirby's one of my favorite franchises, but it's having the ability to actually get power ups and it sort of was established later on in the game, where you know it now, where you can just sort of like, suck in an enemy and or get an item or something, some sort of that, So, and what they did was that they had, just before the boss level, and typically just before the boss, there's, you got the option of like one of 3 power-ups that you want to pick from. And before they had the ability of having separate items, because obviously limited resources, limited space, what they did was they had a staircase, and it was and inside the staircase there were 3 enemies. So the mechanics of getting the power up from the enemy was implemented there, but having like a separate item would have been a waste of resources. So they've been able to, or they just may not have even had the capability of doing so, So, and that's just, a perfect example where, in game design in general, that has always been the case. And it's really pushed out the biggest amount of creativity that I've seen in a lot of games as well. So what are moving back over to some of your levels that you've created? So your first published room was back in January of 2020, and the game had only been out for a couple of months at that stage. I think it came out in September of 2021, and that was Perplexing Paintings. Is that right?
Yep. It's a map I keep telling people not to play because it's kind of cringe.
I disagree with that. I totally disagree with that. You should absolutely play it. It is great, and it's beautiful to be able to see where, and this is why, right? Where you have come and to where you are now, 9 months later, from January, making Perplexing Paintings to Devilish Diorama 2. It's mind blowing. It really is. You have gotten very, very good at understanding the tools that you have available to you and implementing them in a very, very clever way. And I think it's not something that you should be ashamed of. I just want to, if people go into it expecting it to be like, the best level and whatnot, if people are playing levels from January, when the game had only been out for a couple of months, and expect something of the quality that it is now, there was different tools available. There was different, physics. Right. There was different items. There was different things implemented. The game engine and the creativity that you had available to you was very primitive. It still is in development. It's still improving now, but then it was even less so. So. And that's not just talking about this one in particular level. If anyone plays older levels, just go in there with the expectation and the mindset that it was an older level. It was made when things weren't as polished as they are now and available. So, in conjunction with that, your actual skill set and understanding the engine and playing around with it is definitely improved as well. So, but. Let's talk a little bit about it. Why? What are your thoughts about it? What's the let's get in the mind of Zesty opening up Escape Simulator for the first time, playing through the base game and going, hey, there's a creator mode here. Do you have any background in creating in other games? Is there something there? But how did you get to the point of creating Perplexing Paintings?
Before I get into that, I just want to mention, I think it's also really cool that a lot of creators actually go back to their old levels and they'll actually update them, and they'll add in like the new lighting engines, or they'll like import 3D models, and it just looks like it's like a remaster within the game. It's so cool. I'm too lazy to do that, but like super kudos to everyone does that. Sorry, to get back to your question.
No, that's absolutely fine. You don't do that. Sorry, you don't do that. You kind of given up on it. Is that? Is that like you've done it, you've moved on, and it's like, yeah, no, I don't want to touch it anymore.
Yeah, I would love to. I don't know. I as you've seen, I have a huge backlog of rooms to make, and I don't know. Just me, I would love to spend like all of my energy just putting it forward into the future, to just like putting out new rooms. Like 100% of my energy into that. So I'm always like thinking up like new ideas, and to go back and like remaster an older one, as admirable as it is, I don't know. It just, I don't know. I just have too much like I'm just too excited to make new rooms. So
You're
that's why I
excited
don't
for
do
the
it. That's
future.
only
You don't
reason.
want to be stuck in the past.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, give
That's
us
the
give
only
us
reason.
some give us some ideas of you opening up the game.
Yeah.
When did you start playing the game to start off with?
I played in January. My friend suggested it to me, and I thought that it was kind of not good. I don't know. No, I mean, like before I played the game, just to hear the concept of escape simulator, I thought it wouldn't work because it was escape rooms are so physical. So you have to be there. You have to put your hands on things.
So you've had experience with
And-
escape rooms prior to playing Escape Simulator.
Yeah. I played my first one 2016. It blew my mind. I never knew like this was a media. It was just I don't know, just everything about it. Just it felt like being a child again. Just like being an adult in this room, locked, and everything has like some sort of like vitality to some importance, some like context, and you have to look around the room and like interpret sigils and glyphs, and it just like it blew my mind. So it compelled me to start making my own for fun out of my basement, and I would show them to my friends. So it became like a Halloween thing. Instead of haunted room, haunted house, I would
That's
set up
so
an
cool.
escape from my basement. Yeah. Thank you. And I made a couple, and I'd bring in friends and friends of friends, and you have teams. We challenge each other, and I'd watch through my monitors, and sometimes I'd play like parts or act in them, and it was just so much fun. It was just the feedback, just watching people have that aha moment, that stuck with me. It's just engaging with people, showing that side of me that like wants to create, and having people respond to that. That was just such a rewarding experience, and just like I guess just a way to like interact with people. That's what I love about escape rooms in general, just interacting with people, communicating not with my words, but just my design, to have them feel certain ways, to have that certain like aha moments. It gives me chills. That's why I do all of this. Yeah.
Yeah, I have done a few escape rooms IRL as well. But it's the first couple of times I did it, I love puzzles. Like that's just puzzles in general. I just really enjoy figuring out things. My favorite genre of games are click and point adventure games. Like your Grim Fandango, Escape from Monkey Island. Those are the games that I kind of like originally sort of grew up on playing alongside with platformers and blah blah blah. But there is something about puzzle games and getting, like you said, that aha moment, which is precisely the reason why I don't play with hints. Like I don't mind going through and getting through it, but that feeling that you get when you're able to figure it out, you're able to get into the mind of the creator that had made that level and be able to see what they were intending you to see, and that is something that is a very unique feeling. And for anyone that that hasn't played any puzzle games before, that's I highly recommend doing it for that reason. But it is hard, and you really have to get your mind in a certain state of mind to be able to execute things like that. So obviously I do live streaming, and I've been playing them live as well, and it does sometimes get a little bit hard trying to do it on the spot as well, but I enjoy it. And one of the biggest things is communication, so I think that is in any sort of escape room, and being able to, and like you said, may not be verbal communication, just being able to work together with people and being on that same, wavelength. But I've had some experiences IRL where, going with a group of people that just everyone's doing their own thing, and it's like you can't do it that way. You need to work together. Honestly, it's a big reason why I play solo a lot of the time. So it's just because as much as I know that I can probably find like-minded people that would be able to collaborate and cooperate, I do things in a very particular way. And it's hard to kind of like help people or meet in the middle where there's two different people that have their own way of doing things, and then trying to under the pressure as well be able to sort of meet in the middle and be like, all right, let's do it this your way, let's do this my way, and kind of like, work together and compromise in those situations. You got to have good relationships with the people that you're playing with.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's your
Yeah.
experience. You've played a lot of you've done things IRL. So then moving back into Perplexing Paintings and being able to sort of adapt that skill that you've done IRL, and you were saying that you didn't really feel like that the concept of the game was very good. But then obviously something changed. So what happened there?
Yeah, I was skeptical. I thought it would just be, I don't know, just like a really hampered down video game editor. But then, I went into it and I saw that they were emphasizing a lot on the tangibility of the items. That really struck out to me. They mentioned a description that is about picking up pots, smashing vases, about picking up items. And there was just this emphasis on, it was like Tabletop Simulator in that regard. Another fantastic game. Another game that really emphasizes the physical interactions of the systems and just trying to emulate a real-life experience. And yeah, that really stuck out with me with Escape Sim. So, I tried my hand at it. Perplexing Paintings was a sophomore effort. It was really more just to prove that I could actually make something. And it's fun. In hindsight, it was... I feel like the hardest thing about creating rooms for Escape Sim is that you kind of have to tone down your difficulty. There is an expectation that, because this is digital content, I feel people are a little less tolerant of having these full, like, 60-minute long experiences, which escape rooms are. They are like 60 minutes long, and you are expected to fail like half of them or so. Like, there's like a pass-fail rates in real life. But, with a digital escape room, it's really more like you're consuming content. You're expected to go through the base rooms. You're not expected to fail them they have an in-game timer, but it's meant to be just toned a little bit easier. So that's why Perplexing Paint is a little bit harder. So I've learned over time through feedback, tone it down a little bit easier. Yeah. Not to dumb it down, but just to find other ways to engage with the audience.
Yeah, I can definitely say you didn't dumb it down. I think that you made your puzzles more specific. You made them very. I think linear is probably a good way to put it. Is that any good escape room that I've played IRL is that you only have access to certain items when you need them. Like you may have a few things here and there. There's always like kind of not really red herrings, but they are because you haven't identified enough. You haven't progressed further through the level to be able to understand where it's meant to be used. So, and that's one of the things that I have been able to see that's different to IRL escape rooms and escape simulator is that we do have that option to have key items marked on there, but sometimes, again, being brand new to it, those earlier levels, it's quite common. I wouldn't say it's common, but it's not uncommon really that there may be an integral item that you need to use that isn't listed as a key item. And the whole base game, if you play the whole base game, that it emphasizes that very clearly. Like there are items everywhere, left, right, and center, and that you should only need to really use any that have some sort of descriptor. And that helps out a lot just because there's so much stuff around. And I have noticed that a lot of creators will either make some objects, that you can't pick up, or make some objects, obviously mark them as key items. And I think that sort of linear approach to it as well, in that sense, where you're able to pick up certain items along the way, really helps with the flow. And I think that's something that's when it comes down to comparing it, Perplexing Paintings, say, to Devilish Diorama 1, it has a very sort of, logical sort of, you have access to these tools and unlock these rooms that you're around to be able to get the next item, and I think it definitely isn't simpler, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. It's like Perplexing Paintings. I was too reliant on red herrings, as you mentioned. I had like a ton of like clutter objects, and also I kind of abused the space. It's a very large level. And then with Devilish Diorama 1, I took back a lot of feedback from Perplexing, and I realized that I can, design in a very small space. So that's why Devilish Diorama 1 is like, it's an incredibly tiny space, and I just tried to focus on a condensed, very hyper-focused area rather than a really wide spread out one. I eliminated nearly all of my clutter items. I think there is a balance. I think it's good to have a couple. I think that's just the conducive to the nature of escape rooms. I chose not to have any. And also about the item labels you mentioned, you can Escape Sim actually has an option to disable to show whether or not an item is a key item or a hint item. So that's a nice quality of life feature they have for more advanced players. So it's definitely
I was going to say that you can definitely see the overlap with some of your concepts as well. So, for example, for those who haven't played Perplexing Paintings, Zesty will say not to play it. I say to play it. But one of the puzzles within that again, this is probably the first time that I was. There's nothing like this in the base game. Like what you've created there, more specifically with Devilish Diorama, there's nothing that's like that. But one of the puzzles in Perplexing Paintings, you can see that you've kind of enhanced on that, which is where you have the shapes of a particular puzzle. You need to find items to I'm trying to be ambiguous intentionally, so you can understand what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the puzzle right at the very beginning, where you know what shape goes where. So and the way that you're able to learn which combination those shapes go in for that particular puzzle is to really put yourself literally outside the box and think of it like you're looking at it from bird's eye view looking down, because there are two shapes there, right? One of them is I think there's a cone, and then there's also a pyramid or something like that, which it's intentionally deceptive, because if you just look at the shape, it looks like that it is a triangle, for example, but you need to be able to put yourself looking at this cone from the bottom end, which is actually a circle. It's not a triangle. So like something like that, and that kind of logic behind it, that's where I'm saying is that you can see that basic concept of having an understanding of what something looks like from the top down, and having that kind of like bird's eye view is something that definitely you've focused in on with Devilish Diorama and enhanced on that as well. So do you want to give us some ideas of any other sort of concepts that may have overlapped over into Devilish Diorama? Because that was your second level, wasn't it?
Yeah. I love how you're like psychoanalyzing my design. I love it because you just played all of them, and you're getting to my brain and figuring it out. it's so cool. I'm actually really flattered. Perspective is a huge. Perspective is a huge concept that I brought over from Perplexing Paintings, and it carries on. It's one of my favorite motifs with puzzles to carry over. What else did I carry over? Actually, what's interesting is actually did some of the opposite of that sentiment, where I actually stripped away some of the concepts and motifs. So like Perplexing Paintings and the Devilish Diorama, I had a lot of dialogues, and there's a lot of like looking at symbols, and like interpreting meaning from that. I actually, for Devilish Diorama 2, actually eliminated those puzzles, and I focus exclusively on perspective-based puzzles about recursion, and it was just kind of more like focusing on it. But as for like general concepts I bring forward, what else? Yeah, playing with the space, just interacting with it on a macro level. Yeah, that's very important in the Ominous Obelisk, because the theme of that room was was it like HyperX Omen peripherals, which is a ridiculous concept, but I love it. And I was like, how do you like make puzzles about keyboards or like mice or headphones? And I tried, okay, we'll just make everything big, and then they can like act as like physical barriers, or you can interact with them. Like you can have a giant keyboard.
Let's chat a little bit about Ominous Obelisk. So it was you said that it was a competition level, and there was some sort of restraints.
Yeah.
You want to go into the detail of the creativity of that level, and maybe just a little bit of a synopsis or a bit of an example, a rundown of what the level's about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Escape Sim, they host contests. They've hosted 3 so far, and this was the second one. This is a contest sponsored by HyperX and Omen, and a restriction of that contest was you had to make an escape room based on these peripherals that were like computer mice and monitors and speakers and keyboards. And when I heard about that, I was like, oh my God, I hate this. This is the stupidest thing ever. Like, this is like, it's like a big like sellout corporate capitalist venture. And we're artists, but we're trying to like, now we're trying to make giant ads. So my goal for that was to make the most ridiculous, obnoxious ad, just to kind of like poke fun at it. I was like, okay, well, if it's going to be about HyperX and like cool RGB gaming, and like everything should be like sleek chrome black finish and have like RGB lights everywhere, and everything's like super awesome. There should be like in-game ads. And then I got really into it. It became like at first a joke, and then I was like, oh wait, this is actually really fun. I want to keep designing this. The ideas just kind of kept going forward. Yeah, it was just like set in like this big Egyptian pyramid. I call it an obelisk for the sake of alliteration. So, sue me. But yeah, it's just like giant gamer period. You're in the hyperverse, and you're you're trying to like raid the vault of Gnome headquarters, which is an anagram for Omen, obviously. And yeah, and you make your way through the puzzles, and you're making your way through the top, and you end up on a giant desk where you have to like get past the security, which is a giant gamer Anubis with like its own headphones, and he's like shooting lasers at you, trying to navigate this keyboard, and you're trying to like get to the secret room that has like, oh, the cool HyperX and HP peripherals that you should also buy too.
Yeah, I like that little touch.
It started as a joke, but yeah.
It was, it's a very interesting level. We went into it, Chat and I went into it, and without really any expectations, going into a blind, not really knowing what the concept was or anything like that. So I can only imagine what it would have been like. It would be cool to see the other competition, contestants and stuff during that period. Now that I know, because I didn't know that, you may have put it in the description, but it's very easy to overlook. But yeah, it's very clever the way that you've got those four different rooms, and then being able to use certain items to be able to unlock those other rooms, and specifically the hologram. I think that was a very clever. It clicked very, very quickly for me. Like I understood the concept behind it and what we needed to do, having the actors in different areas, and then being able to make sure that the hologram is looking where the codes are and so on and so forth. And it's still highly recommend if no one's played that level. That's definitely one. Would you recommend playing that one? Is it okay to?
Oh yeah.
So,
I think it holds up.
It definitely does, and it's very different, because I think that we played that. We played. What was it? Devilish Diorama 1, then 2, and then we did Perplexing Paintings, and then we did Ominous Obelisk. Just seeing the difference, like the creativity, but obviously because we played Devilish Diorama 1 and 2, one after the other, we could see the similarities between the two levels. But it was very, very interesting to see a completely different concept and take on a level with that particular design, and it makes sense now, of why it was so different. So it's yeah, I love the concept of having the hologram there and figuring out the actors and the specifically I really like the keyboard where you had to input the codes, and it seems straightforward, when you first look at it. It's like, oh, okay, there's codes there, and then you go to put it. I was like, hang on a second, I can't jump, so it's like you going into the game, thinking that's all right, I just got to press the keys and then I can just like jump around and like get on it, and then you are able to essentially block off certain keys. So you need to solve the puzzles in a particular order to be able to access keys to progress further through the level. And it's just again, a very clever. I wouldn't say that that's a limitation of the game, but having no ability to jump is something that is. It takes a little bit of getting used to because it's just such a common thing in most games. But realistically speaking, you don't really jump around when you're in an escape room, right? They're not expecting you to bloody hurdle over something. That's you're gonna have to. That's how you get a lawsuit, So it's like, so it totally makes sense that you can't. And I think that you did a very, very good job on that, and it'll be very interesting to see what other people created during that competition. Is there any way that we can find those levels?
Yeah, there's if you go to my workshop page, there's a link to the contest. They have a top 10 list. There were actually I think almost 300 entries. It may be hard to find all 300, but the top 10 are pretty straightforward to find. There's a Steam news article about it. They posted the top 10 listings for the Escape Simulator contest. So if you flick through the Escape Simulator news, you'll be bound to find it. Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. What about, is there anything else about that level that you wanted to sort of touch base on, that's creativity wise?
Yeah. One of my design goals for that level was to make a level that did not resemble anything in the game. So I did not want to use any of the standard Victorian wall assets. I wanted to be just like completely unrecognizable. So I did a lot of things from scratch. I had like very arcane, bizarre, like black metaverse architecture. It's all like this like gamer space, just very cheesy, very like kind of 80s vibe. And as for, you mentioned the progression where you had to like, it wasn't like a normal room where it's just like one space and you kind of go through this route. It said I had like 4 sections of zones, and I was really inspired by like, I want to try something like a Zelda dungeon. So like,
oh, that's cool.
Like before Breath of the Wild. Yeah, like, like something from like Ocarina of Time or Wind Waker where you have like different zones and you're kind of like blocked off Metroidvania style. It's like, oh, there's a door here, but you can't access it. So you got to go into this area. And that's also what I like about Escape Sim is you're not bound to creating escape rooms that are like escape rooms in traditional sense. You can explore a little bit and, introduce games that are more like strict puzzle games rather than actual escape rooms, or in this case be like a Zelda dungeon. That was what I was really inspired by, and have like this final boss at the end. And you mentioned verticality being a limitation. Yeah, that was a really interesting one for me because like, people would normally try to jump. So working around it, I added an elevator, which you kind of fake by moving the entire level around the player rather than having a physical elevator that lifted you. So that was a fun design challenge, and it works. It's convincing. So that was fun.
And what about the Devilish Diorama? We've got some pretty interesting concepts there as well with the way that those levels are put together. With essentially, where you are. Where's your hand going? What happened?
It's my left. Oh, it's back. It's just the battery's kind of. Don't worry about it. I'll figure it out later.
We can't see it anyway.
So, it's back. Oh, yeah.
Here
it is.
Oh, there it is. So we have some pretty interesting concepts within that level as well, where it's you're able to more or less you have a diorama, and that diorama is something that you're able to manipulate, which also affects the world around you. And the concept or the premise behind that world is that or that room is that you're in a simulation, more or less. So, and you're trying to escape that simulation. So, where did you come up with that sort of concept with Devilish Diorama? And obviously with Devilish Diorama 1 in comparison to Devilish Diorama 2, it is a lot longer. There's a lot more ideas. There's a lot more puzzles, and you've really expanded on it, which you've done an awesome job on there as well. But you can see that a lot of the core characteristics and mechanics of Devilish Diorama, it is the same type of, approach in Devilish Diorama 2. So how did you kind of, I guess, we were talking about Perplexing Paintings, how there's obviously that is something that you've kind of thought of, having that, that perspective of solving some sort of puzzle and really built a whole, room around that concept. So it's what was the creative process there? Did you kind of just sort of come up with an idea and just started designing, and then it sort of came to be? Or what was the process for you with actually developing that concept and making the first Devilish Diorama?
It was actually inspired by a game called Murkedd. Have you heard of Murkedd
I have
before? No. It's it has the same concept where it's a world where you are in this maquette, which is another word for a diorama, and it just kind of it's within itself. It's an amazing game on Steam. Weirdly enough, people kind of don't like it. It's kind of got middling reviews, and no one's heard of it. I don't know why. Superliminal is a popular game. That's people think I was inspired by that, but I actually, it was more so Makedda's inspiration. And I was thinking after Perplexing Paintings, I wanted to just kind of play with ideas, and and I thought, could this work in Escape Sim? And I found there was another room, the miniature escape. That's actually a really popular escape room from a while back, and that also has a similar concept where you're in a miniature and you interact with it to make the bigger world. And I started with the idea of there's this one puzzle. This is a completely spoiler-full interview, right?
Look, I'm trying to be somewhat ambiguous about it, but look, full disclosure, if you haven't played the levels, and either if you're watching the video now, after the stream, or if you're here live, highly recommend playing these levels, and like I said, sort of playing them and going in there blind and experiencing them for their fullest. But if that is something that you haven't done, you've been warned. So.
Yeah. Okay. I'll keep it a bit ambiguous. I designed it around one puzzle. It's the aha moment in the Devilish Diorama. I'm gonna try to. It's when things really open up, when the scale of the room gets really kind of blows wide open. That moment.
Towards
that was
the end.
First
towards is that where you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking.
That was the moment that was the moment I built everything. Everything else came onto that after the fact, and I wanted to explore transformations of 3D objects. Rotation was a big one, scaling, because it's very easy to rotate and scale objects, and I thought this could make interesting concepts because everyone understands that.
Yeah.
And and there were just really interesting implications with because you're in this infinitely recursive space, that means there are big and small versions, and I just was kind of playing through it. I a ton of ideas, but I cut 80% of them, so the little 20% that's left over became Devilish 1, and the rest of it went into the sequel eventually.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that what we might do is that we'll have a short break. We'll have a little intermission, and I think we're gonna try. I think we're gonna try and do some co-op playing of Escape Simulator. I don't have much hope in or faith in the editor running smoothly and being able to navigate around. But I think it'll be pretty cool if we can maybe jump into one of the levels. Is there any level in particular? Maybe we should look at Perplexing Paintings. We can.
Sure.
I'm joking. I'm just saying because you don't like it.
Okay.
But if you,
My god.
yeah. But is there anything that any of the levels that you'd like to look at? I think that Devilish Diorama 1 is probably a good kind of it gives you it's not going to be too spoilery, and if you're interested in the concept, if there's anyone that's watching, even if we played through the whole level, right? There's a whole second one that's there, and there's going to be a third to come down in the future as well. So I think that would be a good starting point. So we can maybe jump in a Discord call. We'll have a short little intermission in between. We'll chuck some words on stream, up on stream while we get ready. Chuck some tunes on and whatnot. And then we will reposition ourselves and we'll be back over to Escape Simulator and we'll jump on into a co-op game.
Awesome. I like the sound of that.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks everyone for this portion of the show. We're going to be jumping on out and we're going to be moving on over there. So Zesty, thank you so much for being here in this realm.
Thank you.
But we will go ahead and jump over to your domain and have a little bit of a look around.
Awesome. I'll see you there.
All right. And gang, we are going to... I can't press the button for some reason. Where am I? Where'd I go? So we're going to go ahead and have a short break, gang. Why can't I press the button? It's not working. Zesty, fix it.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. All right. We're going to go ahead and have that intermission, gang. We're going to jump on over. So we'll see you shortly and we'll be right back.
We are back, gang. Yo. Yo, what is up, gang? Welcome on in. We are ready to jump back into the show. Zesty and I have made our way into the game. So welcome. Miyu, welcome on in. Level 4, gang. Look, I'm gonna have to cut your game short. I'm sorry, okay? Look, I know how many of you love words on stream, but the show must go on. Show must go on. But GG's. But let's jump on into it. Here we are. Oh, we are ready to go. We are here in Escape Simulator. Jumped on out of Rec Room. Jumped on out of where we were with our interview with Zesty. But here I have on the line. We've got to balance that audio. Zesty. Hello. Hello. Well, jeez, that was so loud. It wasn't you. It was just I had my audio up loud. It was fine. So,
Oh my.
but welcome. We're here. Look where we are. We're in Escape Simulator.
Yep.
All right. If you want to just give me a quick mic check 1 2.
Hello, mic check 1 2. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yeah, looks pretty good. Awesome. Let's get stuck into it, Zesty. Continuing our conversation on where we were. So, gang, for those who are unaware and have not played Escape Simulator, I know I've got a lot of homies hanging out in chat. Miyu, welcome on in. Kurt, welcome. Billy, welcome. Oates, you're all the homies hanging out. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, we have just finished off our first portion of the interview with Zesty, who is a builder for Escape Simulator. And we've just had some really good chats, sort of having a little bit of a chat about the different levels and whatnot and the creative processes. It's been fun. It's been great. But here we are in the realm of Escape Simulator. What we're going to be doing today is that threw me off so much. I was just like, just seeing you in chat. I'm like you can't be there. You're here. It was awesome chatting. I hope you had a good time. But I think it's a bit more of the, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about the level here. We're going to play through Devilish Diorama, have a little bit of look at the different concepts, and have a bit of a chat about the things that are going on through there, and get a little bit of behind the room information of the Devilish Diorama. So here we have Zesty Mordant here in the call.
Hello.
So is there anything that you'd like to say about the level before we go ahead and jump on into it?
Not really. It's my second room. It's the one I'm most proud of. Just a fun little room. It's a 15-minute experience, and and I'm happy to show you some of the thought process and little behind the scenes of what went into this level. Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's jump on into it. Go ahead and we'll load up the level. I wish I had like a little avatar for you. It would be nice if we could like have your rec room avatar talking. But we got you on screen. You're in front of us. Wait, where are we?
Yep.
Where'd we go?
I think that's a bug.
What happened there?
It'll load you.
What happened there?
Sometimes it'll just push into one of the base rooms.
Right.
There we go.
There we go. All right, but at least we'll have your, you're having multiple avatars this stream. You've got you've got your thumbnail avatar that I popped on there, and then you've got your rec room avatar. Now you got your escape simulator avatar. You got lots of different faces.
Yeah.
So
Be cool.
how long did it take you to make this level?
This took me, I think, 3 weeks total. Just 2 weeks thinking about it and 1 week to build it. Building it was pretty straightforward. It was rather more thinking up the puzzles. It took a while.
Yeah, nice. Hey, what's up? Can we high five? Is there a way for us to high five?
Can you can point.
I can point. All right, nice. Just heads up, gang. This is the first time I've played co-op in escape simulators. We can crouch. That's cool.
Yep.
All right. So here are the levels that you've worked on. And these are the 3 levels that we were discussing, or the 4 levels that we were discussing. Actually, we discussed all of them. We discussed all of your levels briefly. So yeah, Perplexing Paintings was the first one. Devilish Diorama. 1 and 2's there, and this is the one, the collab board games. This is the one that took me 5 hours to complete the level. So it is a definitely a gauntlet. 12 different creators, 12 different rooms, and yeah, very, very good. So if you guys haven't played any of these levels, we are going to be playing through Devilish Diorama. And it's going to be a little bit of spoilery because we're going through the level. However, there is a second one and there's a third one on the way. So we're, there's plenty of Zesty's levels that are there to play if you haven't done so already.
Oh yeah.
So, I'll let you lead the way. I'm kind of just going to be here. I'm just going to be a bit of a cameraman, and let you go ahead and play through, and you feel free to give any sort of dialogue behind anything that's going on screen and whatnot, and along the way.
Yeah, thank you. For sure. So this is a little lobby area, and when you jump in, you are loaded into the diorama. And a little fun thing I did was I marked the exit here, but as you'll see later, it's not quite what it is. I had a little chat box here that you're communicating with this person outside, and it's supposed to be this character that's like monitoring you, kind of watching you, and gives you little hints. What I did with these is they're just like contextual. It's just story. They don't have any clues or hints. I don't like it when, I don't know, you gotta like parse like big paragraphs. Nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it's just not my style. So just a little bit of flavor text. Yeah, up here some like BIOS startup nonsense on the screen here. It's I have like yottabytes here and parallel universes. None of it's supposed to really make any sense. And this diorama, which is the core concept of the room, is a scaled down copy of the rooms. So in Escape Sim, you can't really have dynamic, like literal, like active copies of instances. You always have to make like separate instances of like objects. So anytime you interact with the room, like this bookshelf here, for example, that's the first puzzle, by the way, to move this bookshelf off to the side. These are all just like linked to the same mechanism, but they're separate objects. So it's a button, and the button, when you press it, it'll move both of them at the same time. It's just a little get around this. One of the limitations you have to work with. Let's see. And what was really fun about learning about Escape Sim is that you can have pickable objects like this box, or this little block here, or this this crank, but you can also make super complicated objects like this butterfly room. and you could all just like parent it into one object, and it'll work as a pickable, and you can like inspect it, and that really is what makes this room work. Let's see. So one of the initial ideas I came up with was you should be able to build the rooms, sort of like in the D&D, you can build your own sets, you know, little dungeons and caves and towns and little parts and pieces you can mix together. Are you talking right?
No. We're
Okay.
just engaged in your explanations.
That sounds good. Yeah. And what was tough about this was whenever I make changes to the big diorama, I have to propagate those changes to the small one. And it's not easy because the process is you have to make this, like, I'll call it the main level, this like main level of recursion. And you have, anytime you make a change, you have to copy it and scale it down here. It's a really arbitrary process. It meant whenever I made changes, I have to kind of keep making copies back and forth, and also the outer recursive layer, as you'll see later. So that was a really annoying design.
Yeah.
And if you look closely into,
I really like this idea, like just the whole concept of basically being able to change these rooms around. So you'll see that very shortly we're gonna get access to another room. But how does it actually? Are you actually creating another complete separate instance of this room?
So these are actually copies of the room, and they're you can think of it like as an elevator. So like if you slot this room in, it's like you're going into the first floor, and this door opens up, and it'll imagine like this like long vertical like corridor of rooms, and it's just kind of shifting through them up and down. So it's like this is floor 1. That's how you can imagine it's like laid out physically, because it's not magic, it's just an elevator. That's what it really is.
Yeah.
And I have this door snap shut, and you can see that the door snaps shut like instantly, so you can't see the transition.
Yeah, gotcha.
So yeah, that's how it works behind the scenes. And if you look into the diorama, you can see that I actually cut out some details. Like there are buttons in this cowboy room on the walls, but in here you can't see them. And you know, I did a lot of the sequel as well, where you call out some of the more extraneous little things that people won't notice, because you have to for performance reasons, and you know, no one's really going to notice or complain.
And it helps with ambiguity as well. You know, I think that not including some things in there, whilst it would be aesthetically, you know, nicer to look at, to save on some resources, and also to help make sure that, you know, you don't need to do something with those buttons, you know, and make them sort of actually operational. I think that's definitely a good move to make.
Right, exactly. One of the first things I tried with Devilish was change up how I present key items. So here there's a key item, it's in a glass box. And I did this because in Perplexing Paintings, the key items were usually hidden away in like behind secret, you know, areas, and you wouldn't know that there's a key item there unless you solve the puzzle. So what I wanted to do this time was show all my key items like up front and center, that you knew where things were generally, but you couldn't like access them right away, as opposed to having a key just hiding in like a secret wall panel or whatever. So that's why these keys are sort of like the taunt to the player as well. I really wanted to make this be like a devilish experience, just to kind of, you know, tease the player a bit, and just kind of like make fun of like any preconceptions they have, which you'll see later. And yeah, this is the butterfly room. It's a little panel here. I had a lot of fun with making these little paintings that are like hyper symmetrical. I did a little fun thing with the Frida Kahlo face, and there's, you know, fractal tree. That's like the theme of recursion here.
And I think that'll make sense in a moment with why you chose for them to be very symmetrical.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and this is the laser room. This is an example of an ambigram. Made by a particularly famous ambigram artist. And, you know, if you flip it up and down, it says true. This is a little fake laser here. So Yeah, this was a really fun mechanic I discovered. Yeah, you can even stay in there. If I rotate the room, it'll kick you out.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So that was one of the technical challenges with this room. Because you transform the rooms, you slot them in and out, you rotate them. If you're in a multiplayer session that has like a whole, set of edge cases, like what if someone's inside a room that's rotating? So, I kick them out. It's led to some bugs and such, but it's stuff you have to deal with.
Yeah. I think that's something that, with the new updates of the game coming out, it's constantly going to get improved and things are going to be updated and whatnot. So a lot of these older levels, if they've been made with certain mechanics in mind, just go ahead and continue the solving the puzzle while unless there's something that is specific that you want to talk about. Yeah.
Go right ahead.
With any older game, and this is just in general with any game that sort of has any sort of level creator or any type of customizability in that sense, you're going to be playing through these levels when the game engine was different. There were different mechanics made. There was different things in mind. So, sometimes when updates have been implemented within the game itself, it can break, previously working mechanics, and that is just the nature of being a builder in any game.
For sure. Yeah, this whole experience with like kicking players out, I noticed it was very disorienting for players. So I have this little note that explains why people are getting kicked out, but it's still very disorienting, as I'm sure you just experienced. So
does this only come up in a co-op session?
Yeah, only then.
Yeah, so that's interesting as well, because I don't remember seeing this, so that totally makes sense.
Yeah, I was very tempted to make this room single player only, but I noticed that like 70% of streamers who play my rooms, they always play co-op, so it would have been a huge demographic not to cater to.
Yeah. So we can see this is now flipped upside down. So for those who haven't, I'm intentionally not focusing on every single part of the puzzle because I do want people to be able to still play this level and have some sort of surprises and not knowing, how to complete it and have the enjoyment of playing it themselves. But as you can see, we've essentially gotten a lever here, which a crank that we're able to rotate these rooms around. So and this now gives us a code, and it kind of leads you on the way to solving the remainder of the puzzles.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning here the symmetry of these pictures, and I was just mentioned before there was a reason why you will notice that is the case, that I can see that you made that creative decision, because once you proceed forward throughout the level, you actually unlock this mirror here, which has you can see why.
Yeah, the mirror was something I wanted to very early on, but in Escape Sim, there's no real support for reflections as such, so you have to really fake it. And
so I'm assuming it's a duplicate of the room?
Yeah, it's a duplicate. So if you imagine the elevator analogy I had where the rooms were going up and down, this is the part of the elevator that shifts left and right. So if we step out and we add the inverted version of the room, it just kind of shifts the room like 1 unit to the side.
Gotcha.
And yeah.
But that is the way that the game designers, again, we were talking about earlier on the couch, we're talking about, limitations in certain mechanics in games that, force you to be able to be a little bit more creative in these instances. And a perfect example of this is Mario 64. I think that when you see a reflection in Mario 64, this is exactly how they've done it with essentially a duplicate of the room in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. And there's if you look closely enough, it's all these sort of concessions you have to make. It's not perfect. The wallpaper on each side of the mirror is not completely aligned. The ceiling is not completely symmetrical.
I'm sure everyone that played this level is complaining about the lack of aligned.
Right. Exactly. It's just amazing the things you can get away with, and people really don't care. They don't want super accurate things. They don't need everything to be hyper realistic.
Yeah.
It can be
They're forgiving.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And another challenge I had was the dial locks. If you imagined earlier, there was like a set of 5 digits that were on the other side of the room.
Yeah.
When you solve it, originally they were there, but I hide them because it's annoying to have like dial locks that are also in this mirrored copy with like their own inverted like textures, and if you rotate it, then you'd have to rotate the other side so that they're like synchronized. So I just decided to like hide them. That was but like having these blocks slotted on both sides, that was easy to implement, so I did that. So you'll notice when you slot in these diamond clubs or heart emblems, they'll also be slotted in on the other side. And that was a little neat effect.
Very cool.
Yeah, just to have this idea that the rooms were synchronized in a way.
Yeah, you've definitely pulled off that illusion 100%. Like when you're immersed into solving the puzzles and your mind's sort of working towards you're trying to figure out what to do next. But if you want to continue, like I said, continue going ahead and completing the room, unless there's go ahead and stop at a point if there's any section that you want to talk about in particular. Yep. But yeah, it's you've definitely pulled off that illusion, and when you've got your head in the game trying to figure out how to solve these puzzles and which combination the boxes go in, and how to sort of move forward, I think that it's you're not really paying attention to those small details.
Yeah, exactly. And big focus for me in this room was just having a really interactive and like satisfying room to go through. So like these sort of little revelations you make, I was very careful on how they were introduced. With the first part of the room was you could slide this bookcase open. So that was the first lesson, that you could interact with the diorama and that it was synchronized. The next big revelation was you could slot in rooms so you can alter the geometry. Then you found the crank and you could rotate the room. And these were introduced like right after one another, and the puzzles later on would kind of mix and match these sort of little revelations you've had.
Yeah, absolutely. Then, I think that is just clever level design, and there are, a lot of games that come out, big developers, and, where that's the way that the games are kind of designed in a sense that you're introducing a mechanic and you're able to implement that, sort of, shortly after. I think a good example of that is potentially Celeste. There's different parts of the game where you unlock certain abilities and different sort of environmental factors that kind of come to play into it. Each one of those chapters, and once you're able to master that part of it, then you're able to know where to move forward after that. So. It's just a very good way to be able to make it a good user experience as well by the way that you've actually rolled them out.
For sure. And it's a tough way to design levels too. Instead of just churning out the same content. That's why this room is so short. It's really only 15 minutes because it's just having this sort of sense of discovery. It takes a lot of time and to, have it constrained to this sort of diorama setup.
Yeah,
very limiting in that regard.
Absolutely, and I think that what you've done with Devilish Diorama too, and expanding on this idea and making it longer, with a more complex board as well. It's you can see that it's very much, like I said, similar concept, but you've introduced a lot of different mechanics within that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I really like this puzzle here. Is that when I first came into the room, this is the room that's kind of locked in position. So for those who haven't played this before, there's 2 rooms that are kind of locked there. It's the main room here, the center room, and this one over here. And you're able to you basically open up this door. It's the first thing that you do, and seeing this guy holding a gun at you, I was like, yeah, that's gonna mean something. You wouldn't put something dead center in here. And now that we've unlocked the second portion of the room, you can see that there's some targets over here. So. It's again a very good introduction to good level design with having something, very early on. You see this picture that's here, and that gun's pointing towards something, and it's just a matter of time until you unlock that room that you go, okay, cool, now it makes sense. But still doesn't really come together because there's no way for us to be able to connect them at the moment. So, but yeah.
For sure, that was very important to me that players could not. I see Theron's in chat saying literally unplayable.
You were in the middle. You're in the middle of a flow. I didn't want to disrupt you, but yeah, we were talking about the roof and the and the walls.
Yeah. What's it? Oh yeah, I just wanted to limit the number of interactions, so that meant not really having any clutter items. I didn't want players to get frustrated. I sort of teased this this gunslinger and this targets. People would, I noticed they would try to line it up where the cowboy painting is facing. They try to match them up at this distance.
Really?
You can't. Yeah. It's not something.
I don't even know how they'd go about. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, they're trying to eyeball it, but it doesn't work. Obviously, but
yeah,
it's an interesting interpretation.
Yeah. Well, look, and again, that's I think that one of the main thing is that each escape room that each room that I've gone into Escape Simulator, I've going in with the concept of if it doesn't make sense now, then it's probably that we don't have enough tools or information readily available to proceed forward. And sometimes there are levels where you need to dig around quite a bit, but I think that that's probably a good rule of thumb for anyone that is new to Escape Simulator or new to escape rooms in general. If it doesn't make sense, right now, then just try and find something else. I think that it's important to kind of keep on moving forward, trying to find new items, trying to find new things that you haven't unlocked. For example, this glass here, or or something like the code lock, which we've unlocked now. But we've got a couple of different rooms, and just keep moving forward and exploring if you ever feel like you're stuck.
Exactly. That's one of my design tenets, that if you solve one part of the room, you get a key or such. It should you shouldn't be so focused on one area and solve a bunch of puzzles and just kind of move on, but rather I want my spaces to be just sort of this interconnected web. I do this a lot in the Ominous Obelisk, where you get something, if you go to another room and you kind of travel back and forth, you're traveling this white space, which can be cumbersome in a large level like Perplexing Paintings, but because Devilish Diorama 1 is so small, you could get away with it a lot more easily. And I hide the laser orb here. It's fully revealed, it's you can see it here, and there's the key there that was before. It's all there. I have an open hand. That was one of the design tenets I had going into this room.
Yeah. So you can go ahead. Is there something specific you wanted to mechanics wise that you wanted to talk about?
I was just gonna go on to a new thing, but if you had something to add.
No, go for it.
So the key, which was obtained from there, this is the first puzzle I was referring to early in the interview. This was the puzzle that I guess everything was built off of the door. This is the most fun moment for me, watching streamers just open this up and they're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah. So
you solved it right away. I was very impressed.
Yeah, well, it's I don't know, I kind of just got into the zone with your levels. I don't know. There's just something with the way that your levels have been put together that kind of just clicks with my brain. So I haven't found. I think there's only been a couple of others that have really sort of gelled well. So I just like your designs. I like the way that they actually flow together. And it's now it all makes sense. So it's not here. So as we move on as well, it kind of gets a little bit more intense. So again, just a reminder to anyone that's watching that hasn't played this level, and if you're intending on playing it, feel free to either pause the video now if you're watching after the stream, or go ahead and play them and come back and watch the stream later, watch the VOD later on. But nonetheless, we do have, there is a Perplexing Paintings, a Devilish Diorama 2, which expands on this idea, which is very cool. So I highly recommend playing both of them. But yes, this aha moment. Yes, absolutely.
You'd be surprised how many people get stuck on this. I don't think it's that hard of a puzzle, but I guess like it just had a. Oh no! I just dropped the key. In there.
Oh no!
It Oh, I got it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's.
I have yeah, trauma from dropping things right at the last minute, and like, man, I'm not gonna get into it, but that level yesterday, it's two hours, 2 hours, dude. But anyway. Oh, new message.
Yeah, these are based on specific triggers around the room. Just kind of it's more like a fidget for the player if they are like stuck. There's something for them to kind of shift their attention to, so they're not just like focusing on the puzzles. Yeah, it's a little backstory. What even happens in this? I don't remember the story.
You don't remember?
Yeah, and then this is the big reveal that you're in a recursive simulation, and you'll see that it's quite dark. I wanted there to be more like layers of recursion so you could see further ahead into the distance. You can see the bigger layer above and another layer above that. But I wasn't comfortable with the performance impact replicating even more instances of the room would be. Apparently I could do a lot more, but I didn't know that at the time. I had a little like dust effect to show that because you're so tiny you can see the dust flying around.
Because this came out in May, didn't it?
Sorry?
Did this come out in May?
March.
So the game still hadn't been out for very long. It's literally, the game's only been out for a year recently. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of things that, that people have been learning as time goes on as well.
For sure. Yeah, so I wasn't like super comfortable with the performance. Originally you could actually walk around the edge of the table. So here you can see it's actually blocked off. But
oh yeah,
that was a conscious decision. Before you could actually walk around behind the rooms, and there'd be like doors to access it from the other side, like here. But yeah, limitation was the fact that this I guess I'll call it the slotted room. It changes dynamically, and it would have been kind of strange if you're standing in the back and your partner slotted in a room and this room just kind of like popped into existence. Or there'd be more edge cases like, what if you're standing there and someone slots in a room and you could get caught in the geometry, so it just became this like huge headache.
Yeah, and those are the sort of creative decisions that you need to take into consideration when you're making one of these rooms as well. Is that you need to if you are designing it for co-op, it's definitely it seems like having these post-it notes here as well. There is definitely more that you need to take into consideration. So yeah, it's something that's very apparent with a lot of the levels that I've played as well.
Yeah, for sure. Another limitation is if you put objects on the table out in front, it won't propagate it into the real space, unfortunately. I was considering like ways to get around that, but it's just sort of what goes with this engine, that there are these like hard limitations you have to get around. You can't see like players or copies of the players on the tables, obviously.
Yeah.
And this outdoor And this outdoor space is the final puzzle where you can like flip around the room. Unfortunately, so the puzzle, how it works is you have to rotate this room and realize that there's a keyhole that you can interact with from the outside. And the problem is sometimes this room will already be flipped over upside down. So when they exit out and they see this keyhole, they'll unlock it right away. So it's not even a puzzle.
Right.
But I noticed that for about 80% of players, it'll be upright like this, just based on the progression of the room, because players will tend to rotate this room upright because it's just what they're comfortable with. But sometimes they're just lazy and they leave it upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you would unlock this.
But yeah, so this is as you can see, like we're in this massive replica. We're actually in the diorama, more or less, so it's like we're on the table that's on the table in here, that's inside there, that's on the table in there, and that's inside there, and it's inside, it keeps on going. It's pretty cool. I love it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a little tiny diorama in the middle too.
Yeah.
And people have pointed this out to me, but if you cover your cursor over the the smallest diorama you can see, there's a little draggable door that I accidentally left in.
No
So
way.
if you if you hover over it, your mouse will highlight. You might have to.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Oh,
I got it.
yeah.
Can I get it
Little
out?
door that
I got it.
Yeah, maybe.
I've got it out. That's amazing. Look how tiny it is. That's brilliant. Well, let me put it on the yellow so you can see it.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, nice little tiny door hidden inside the diorama. That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness, it was so annoying to realize that, but I just left it in.
Oh no.
Lazy.
All right, it's gone. There you go. There's no door. What are you talking about? Nice little Easter egg. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, tiny little diorama there. And then you get out here. So this orb is now accessible. It was actually supposed to be like on this, I think you can see where it's pinging, where it's supposed to be attached to this little metal spike.
Yep.
But there was a problem with because this wall has its own collision boundary. So for certain players,
Okay.
you couldn't actually pick it up. So I had to move it to this door, which is annoying because a lot of players would miss that. They just come out here, they'd open the door, and they'd look in this window, and they'd be like, oh, there's the true-false puzzle, but I solved that 10 billion years ago.
Yeah.
And they run back inside, not realizing the laser orb's there.
They
spend 20 minutes.
The amount of times that I've been playing a level and I've missed the smallest thing, and it's just held me up so much. It's so easy for these little things to be overlooked. But look, the reality is that you can't accommodate for everyone. And you, like you said, you're working within specific limitations and implementing them the best of your ability. So look, it still completely works, but yeah, it's just, I guess, another one of those things. But look, when I played this level, I knew that I was going to get the laser. I went into it going, we're obviously going to be needing to get that item. So when I opened up the door, it was pretty much instant. So it's, but again, it's very easy, especially you have multiple people in the room. I can understand how it could be easily forgotten about what your target objective is, and what you're actually trying to work towards. But I think that's just, again, another important factor when it comes down to playing any sort of escape room, is to just have good communication with anyone that you're collaborating with.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's really just a matter of good enough design. This room is not perfect, but
Yeah.
it's good enough, and you can just get away with it. Players are way more forgiving than I originally expected them to be. It's a little bit of I could spend months working on the one thing, making it perfect, but it doesn't matter. If it's fun, it's fun.
So this one is this puzzle here, again, very, very clever. So initially we've got this laser and we've shot it through, but we're not actually shooting it at the targets up here. We're shooting it through the diorama, through the window, and through the small target that's in there that then goes over through to there. And I just love this concept right here where it kind of loops back through. And then obviously this is the point where you start to sort of understand what that guy with the gun was pointing at you for. It's basically a clue, insinuating, and that's been there the whole time. And it's only at this point that it's okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I would just want to be the sort of cathartic release. That at this point, it's oh, everything makes sense. It's just supposed to be this really feel-good moment. Not really a compellingly difficult puzzle, but just sort of, it's just a satisfying interaction. That's one thing I want to focus on. That things were satisfying. This room was just fun to play.
Yeah, 100%.
A little niggle about this laser is that it's a solid object, so if you chuck objects at it, it'll bounce right off.
That's great.
And I learned later that you can make objects passable, and they look a lot better later on.
Yeah.
Instead of it looks like yarn or something that's passing through. One thing I missed actually is if you step outside, technically should be another layer of laser, just like flying over the entire.
over the top, yeah. But again, look, I think that Thorum would probably testify to this and say that it's literally unplayable. I think we should uninstall and just delete the map permanently. Why is that laser not there?
Completely unplayable.
All right. Do you know these off by heart? These ones here, or?
No way.
All right, I'll jump out. Oh, jeez. So, yeah, it's an interesting concept. Again, very clever. So you basically are able to grab that laser, shoot that through, and hits those targets, and it gives you some information that you need in order to proceed forward. But yeah, I love this, and without going into any detail about Devilish Diorama 2, I love how it expands on this idea. It's yeah, looking forward to what you do with Devilish Diorama 3.
Thank you.
So we got it.
Devilish 2 was.
Go on.
Oh yeah, Devilish 2 was a huge challenge to design because I had to find new ways to, work with the constraints. It's the same engine. I still had the same difficulties working with the rooms. And I set up this ending where you have like this infinite hallway. I designed this with no context of what to do next. So, yeah, without really going into Devilish 2 too much, this infinite hallway was the inspiration for the first puzzle in Devilish 2. And as you mentioned, I worked with the bigger space.
I was going to say that this ending here, I got stuck on Devilish Diorama 2 because I didn't try not to be spoilerish, but I didn't find the necessary. I was overcomplicating it for one, but I didn't find the information. Yeah, that one. You know what I'm talking about. That one.
Oh, yeah.
So my concept, my initial thought process going into it, and I kind of I enjoy going into these puzzles, and sometimes getting stuck because it actually introduces a potential mechanic for, a future puzzle. Just because even though I've got it wrong, the logic is still sort of, it makes sense. But I was thinking that you have a picture on the wall, and I was thinking that you had to run in a certain direction for an extended period of time because of the ending of this. So then it would have been you needed to run in that one direction for a while in order to actually get to the next area. So. But that wasn't the case for that once I figured out what the solution was. And from that point on, it was smooth sailing. But yeah, definitely got quite stuck on that level.
That's good to hear.
So is this the final section of the level?
Yep.
Wonderful.
It was yeah. There was actually a puzzle here that or rather a puzzle in the second one that I was inspired based on how players would go through this. Like if you were to stand there and you close the bookshelf, and you'd have a player. So if you're inside and I close the bookshelf, then you could have this you could see behind the bookshelf or behind the space. And I noticed a lot of players were trying to do that, and that really taught me that that's a new interaction I could work with. So that
Absolutely.
Inspired me to, yeah. So it was really inspiring to watch players go through my rooms, and they'll come up with their own interpretations of the puzzles, or they'll try some things out, and I'll be like, oh, that's cool. Maybe I should, try that in a future room.
Yeah. And then you've got these doubled up here, and then we get to the final section here.
Yeah, the ceiling, people would look up and they'd be like, oh, cool, we can see the outer layer. It was actually a mistake. I actually just forgot to put It was a nice little.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. People be like, "Oh, that's so cool." It's like, "Oh, sure, why not?"
All right. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and jump on through. And do you want to give it a crack? Should we try the editor? I think we can at least give it a shot just to kind of see literally behind the room and have a look. So I'm gonna try. So just a full disclosure to the live. I love the fact we can see us dancing in the background. That was brilliant.
That was a complete accident.
We despite the fact that I did some stress testing yesterday, and it was a little bit of struggle trying to load up specifically Devilish Diorama 2. However, that is probably one of the more impressive levels to look at, would you say?
Devilish 2 is very heavy in editor, but Devilish 1 is very small relatively.
Is there anything in look, I'm happy to jump on into the editor, and I can screen share to you, and maybe if you can navigate around a little bit, we'll see how that goes. Look, I'm happy to give it a shot. If the stream crashes and everything dies, it is what it is, but let's give it a crack.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, let me know if you can see what's going on screen for you.
I can also see in your YouTube stream as well.
Yeah, I was thinking just to cast just so then there's less latency for you.
That's true.
Wonderful. So you can see where I'm at?
Yep.
Cool. So is there any particular level that you would like to look at that you would? I'm happy to do Devilish Diorama 2. I don't mind about the lag or anything like that. We can give it a crack if that's the level that you want to look at. But we'll take a look at behind the room in one of your rooms, and just go ahead and pick one, and we can have a look through there and see what it's like behind the scenes there.
Yeah, I think Devilish 2, if it can work, would be the most interesting.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay. So,
look,
Duraniel has a tip. Yep.
Oh yeah, use H to hide assets for performance. All right. I don't want to publish it. No,
Yeah.
Don't do that. What have I done? Press cancel. There we go. Cool. Let's get into it. So, for those who don't know, because I didn't know, you can actually copy the workshop levels yourself and have a look at how they're put together, which is really, really cool. I'm probably going to do this more often. I'd love to be able to have the creators on board with when I do that, but it would be very cool if I would be able to do that. Maybe just to dissect some of the levels that we've already played, and have a little bit of an idea of how it's put together and whatnot as well. So I'm really happy that you showed me that this was possible. So thank you for that. So press H to hide assets for performance. I guess that's look, it's going to be laggy. Basically, it's culling out the information behind us, but let's go ahead and check it out anyhow. I think it's manageable enough as it is. So is there anywhere that you'd like me to start off with and go towards to check out something within this level?
Yeah, if you can just scroll forward where you are right now.
Yep.
And and what Duraniel was saying was you can use H to hide objects, so it'll toggle their visibility if they're on or off.
Understood. Gotcha.
Yeah. Actually, I can just start with this here. This is so we won't really go into the puzzles of Devilish 2 too much, but I can just show off some of the implementation. So you can see this giant ass butterfly here. It's rigged up with wings, and it gets little animations, and you can see if you float upwards from where you are, that there's additional copies of the butterflies. So these are, you can see there's two more here. One has this copy of this spade emblem, and these are different states of the butterflies. So I could have rigged up something where it's the butterfly is this 3D object and it has animation stuff, but instead these are just separate animations. So the butterfly on the right here is flying around in a circle. this butterfly to the left is like the animation of it like flying down, and when that animation ends, then you can like go down, and there's the butterfly resting on the box down below.
Very
So
cool.
that's just what I did. I just kind of toggle them in and out. Yeah. And this is actually an example of the bigger like layer rooms. And you can see these little eye icons. Those are the visibility activators. Those are what lets you toggle an object to appear or disappear. You can see little lock icons. These are what controls the logic of the rooms. These are like your if-else conditions. You can see little like gray spheres. Those are like called empties. They are like kind of parent or root objects that can act as anchors for objects to be like parented under. Let's see. Yeah. And if you just keep going down below, I kind of stack up these like cursive layers up, like the elevators I mentioned earlier. Let's see. And I just kind of like shift them up and down out of existence. So this is the big layer or recursive layer of the room. It's very big and empty. It's supposed to act as like a skybox almost. You can see this like there's this white line here. That's the laser going through. That's like a big laser. So in this room, I actually added a big laser flying over the diorama.
You rectified that issue.
Yeah, it really bugged me. Yeah. And if you just keep scrolling downwards, so we're kind of like in the sky. And if we're going down to ground level, oh, actually, before you go down, you can see these like big black chunks. These act as barriers. So there's a point in Devilish 2 where you are in the big diorama, but I set up these like I guess like walls or gaps in the floor to prevent players from going through. So that's a nice little optimization there. And if you scroll down, yeah, this is the ground level, and this is the main area, the ground floor. And this is the 1x scale of the dioramas. And I guess we can start with this like rainy area here. That's the apartment sequence. Yeah. This is the first area of the room, and it's just this sort of a PT style infinite corridor where you're kind of walking through, and it's this is what happens directly after Devilish 1. You came from the void, and now you're what's it? You're now like exploring this apartment, and it's the simulation sort of trying to like trick you into this false sense of security. And these blue spaces are the triggers. These are what if a player walks into them, it's going to activate some logic in the room. So this blue square that you're hovering over will activate the voicemail. So when you walk into there, it's going to activate this voicemail. You can see these little speaker icons, and that'll play back like you have one new message. To play back your message, press 1, and then it'll play back a voicemail. So you can have sound logic items. This little red area you see, those are obstacles. Those are like the invisible walls that you can't pass through. Those are really handy as well. Right here to the top right of your screen, there's like a little light icon. This is a new feature that they added to Editor back in June. This lets you add dynamic lighting into the level, makes everything look 100% better. And yeah.
And then basically this one is looped around.
Yeah.
Until you get to the final section here. So just a reminder, as we are going into the detail of the levels from behind the scenes, we are definitely going to be unlocking some spoilers. So once again, I highly, highly recommend, if you have not played these levels and you're here watching live, I highly recommend dipping out and going ahead and playing these levels yourself, and then coming back and checking in later if you do want to check it out. And if you are watching it after the stream's over on YouTube, once again, same thing applies. So go ahead and pause it and play these levels before we go on, because we are going to definitely be spoiling some things here.
For sure.
Cool. So where to now?
So if you go to the left there, and you can see this like a big grid of rooms.
Yes.
Yeah, just keep over here. And this is the sort of the infinite hallways. So this is a puzzle that's based on the ending of Devilish 1, where you had that infinite hallway of rooms. So this time I had it starts as an infinite corridor, and you kind of walk through these rooms, and as you go through them, you'll realize that it's like an infinitely repeating room. And then you open up this bookshelf, which is based on that puzzle I mentioned earlier that I discovered from the players. And then you can go and you realize it expands both vertically and horizontally. And that was supposed to be a neat little revelation that you can now explore this 2D space infinitely. But really, it's just once you get past a certain point, the room will snap you back and teleport you back here. And this maze had the biggest performance impact out of anything in this entire room because these like little rooms had their own like copies of the books, their own textures. They all have their own. They're all synchronized the same way. The doors will open up the same way. So this had a huge impact. You had to wire it up all the same. You can see these blue lines that are passing through the edges of the maze. Those are the teleports, or rather triggers for the teleports. And you can see those like little there's like you can see people like gray people like floating in the sky. Those are the teleport objects. So when you touch that blue trigger, it's gonna teleport you to this like teleport object here. And it's in the sky, but it doesn't matter because in Escape Simulator there's no like height since you can't jump, etc. So it'll just teleport you to that XY position. And yeah. Once that is solved, then you finally end up in the old diorama, which if you look to your left, let's see. Yeah, look to your left again. Yeah, here you go. So you can just scroll forward here. And this is Thuranio saying you were able to launch yourself up, but they patched it out. I didn't know that. That's really interesting. Apparently you could have vertical movement.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And this is the diorama as I call it. This is Devilish 1 but recreated with the moodier lighting. I intended to have some puzzles here originally, but really hey, Francis joined us. Yeah, this is the live stream here. And this was intended to be its sort of puzzle area. I was going to use old I was gonna have a puzzle that was based on using the old rooms, and it had like its own like sequence, but it got kind of complicated, and I wanted to focus more on the new diorama, so it just became an Easter egg here.
Yeah, so kind of as you can see, considering we just played Devilish Diorama 1, everything here is very, very similar to the layout that we just played as well. So you can see the messages. I love this little error message 99999 and how it's at the beginning. So once again, play the level if you haven't. You know what I'm talking about, but it's very funny. And then to see the letters that are down here saying you are not safe, you never woke up, be careful. So it's very nice little Easter egg and introduction into what's to come. And you can see all the previous puzzles that we just completed over in Devilish Diorama 1, and it looks like that everything's pretty much here. There's nothing that's really missing apart from the additional rooms, obviously. But you've even got the window here with where the laser was, and very, very cool.
Yeah, as a lot of people pointed out, this was inspired by Portal 2, very blatantly. The fact that you're visiting an older area and it's all like corrupted and messed up. That was really fun to me.
You know what? Now that you say it, I honestly didn't pick up on it, but now that you say it, it's very obvious. But I'm a massive fan of Portal, so it's now that totally. So, but yeah, you've got the big level up here as well, which is very cool. Is there any little hidden Easter eggs that we'll only see in the editor, like some sort of items that shouldn't be here that are here?
There are actually a lot of Easter eggs. We haven't gotten there yet.
Cool. So perfect.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm struggling. If I turn around, I think it's that rain. It's the rain that's killing my computer.
Yeah.
But
that's a big one. If you'd like, you can actually go see this like big sphere here over the apartments. You can hide it. Just like here, you see this like big gray sphere. If you click on it and press H, you can disable this part of the level. Oh, Never mind. Or rather, if you Control Z it,
Sorry, Control Z. Yeah.
and just bring back that gray sphere. Now you can just delete this if you want. Just press the delete key.
Something gonna break. Oh, door. Oh no.
Actually, that might have been a bad idea. No, it'll work.
It'll work. It's doing something.
Yeah, it just may.
This is how
suggested.
this is how Zesty breaks the stream. But that's all right. That's all right. Now look, if it oh, we deleted the whole. We removed the whole room. Is that right? That's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I won't.
We looked at it though, didn't we?
Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
won't ask you to do that again later.
That's all right.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the old diorama, and then you go into the main diorama here, and it's stationary, but I moved the level around it. So later on, when the diorama is lowered to the floor, it's gonna move the skybox around it. So that's the one of the workarounds with the fact you can't vertically move within the level. And so this is the starting area. It's spawn in. Yeah, and this time I went with the 3x3 grid with the square table, and I have it so you can walk around the edge. And again, you'll notice that you can't walk behind the back wall, so you can't see the slotted rooms like come in and out of existence for the same reason you couldn't. Again, there's a tiny little diorama, and
That's
this
amazing.
time you can see this time I made very plain textures, just like enough to sell the idea of it, and also to save on performance because this room is incredibly massive. Yeah, it was very important to me that I do as much as I can to sell the idea of recursion. So I wanted to have this like smaller, lower, this level of recursion that's below you, and also focus on the skybox above you. And yeah, and you notice I add little glass ceilings to some of the rooms. That was more so because I just didn't want players to try to interact with the panels like through the mini diorama.
Yeah, I have definitely seen some levels where a similar concept, not the same, but where you need to use. I think something comes to mind is Melon versus Noir level. Is that it's there's a section there where you have to interact with something similar, or it shows you the way that something's meant to be outlined. So you can definitely see how that could cause some problems if people were able to actually pick up things or move things around, like that door. If that door in Devilish Diorama 1 was an integral part towards a puzzle or something like that, it definitely would have caused problems. So putting some sort of barrier between that is very, very, very clever.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like if it's gonna cause you problems, just cut it out of the room.
Yeah.
Just make it so it's inaccessible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So why not? Yeah. And if you see this room here to the right, where you can see this with the flashing textures here, this like purple violet room where the cat picture is. This is where I had a little Easter egg for one of my voice actors. So you didn't see this in your playthrough, but I had it so yeah, if you look behind the cabinet there, there's like a little shelf in the corner of this room. Yeah, here. If you look behind it, there's a hidden kites.
Oh, hello.
And this is actually a pickable in the room, and it's a reference to Murkedd, who's a streamer, an amazing streamer, and he was a voice actor for this room. So this kite kind of makes fun of one of his fails. It was in one of the Escape Simulator base rooms. There's a kite item, and instead of using it properly, he just like threw it out the window, and he thought he lost it. So
That's brilliant.
And add little references. So like he plays Bean Boozled a lot on his stream. Like it's a game where you have this like box of randomized beans, and like half of them taste good, yeah, and the other half tastes like horrible, like it tastes like vomit or like toothpaste or like liver and onions.
That's
So
awesome.
that's a little reference to him.
Can
Yeah.
we actually get into this room in the main game? Yeah, we can. So what's this level? How come it's flashing there? Is it like an item that you need to interact with the picture?
The reason it's flashing is it's just like two textures layered over each other.
Gotcha.
I kind of swap them in and out. Yeah, so that's why there's you fighting right now.
Yeah, gotcha. Cool, very cool. How
Yeah,
many Easter
so
eggs
it's
are in
a-
the level?
Um,
A bunch?
there's those ones here. There was there was one in the apartments. Oh, it's pretty obvious. There's like a can of blue cow that was brought back from the Ominous Obelisk. It's just my
Ah, okay. That's cool.
fake version of Red Bull.
Yeah. I do remember seeing that.
Yeah. Actually, I think that's it. Yeah, between that and the Murk Easter eggs in that room, that was pretty much it.
Perfect.
Let's see. Yeah, and with this like blue area down here, those are again, it's like the sort of elevator of slotted rooms where depending on the room you slot in, I'll like kind of bring up these like parts of the levels up and down. And this is the scale room. There's like all this logic. This is just controlling how when you press a scale button. So in the room, you can press 1/3 scale, 1 times scale, 3x scale, or 9 times scale, and it'll stretch the room that's next to this one like lengthwise, which is a really fun effect. And if you scroll up a bit, you can see in it for a little bird's eye view that instead of stretching out one room, it's actually 4 different rooms that are of like varying lengths. So like here you can see the really skinny 1/3 room. You can see here the regular 1 time scale room. You can see the stretched out 3 scaled room and a super long 9x room. And it's a little bit hard to see because it's all stacked together. But yeah, in essence, I just kind of bring these out back and forth, hiding or unhiding them as they come. And they're all synchronized. So if you touch a lever in one, it'll affect the lever in all the rooms. Yeah, these blue triggers are just like they're just like little teleports to make sure that the player doesn't get stuck while it's shifting. With the new programming layer that they added to Escape Sim, you can scale these rooms pretty easily, but I didn't want to. I could have used it, but I didn't quite trust it in terms of like multiplayer. Because a lot of things tend to break in multiplayer, especially with their new features. So I went with this more sort of archaic solution.
So essentially, what you've done here is that you've same sort of concept with Devilish Diorama 1 and 2 here, where you're switching out the levels, but instead of doing them in like an elevator vertically, you're switching them out horizontally. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. And it's the whole difficulty where if you make changes in one, you have to make changes in all of them. So
Yep.
took a lot of this took 2 weeks on its own. It was such a pain in the
It looks it. It's definitely a and the puzzles behind this as well. Because again, like we're not spoiling absolutely everything. You still, if you still do want to play the levels, it's definitely worth it. But is there anything else that's in here that you want to focus on?
Oh no, we can move on. Yeah, what else can I show? If you go into this main area here again, you can see these lasers here. They're all like visible. You can see one shooting out from the butterfly mannequin. You can see one coming. Yeah, so it's like this white line. They're all there in the main instance of the game, but I'm just kind of hiding them, showing them in and out. Yeah, based on where you are in the room. What else? Yeah, this is the jail cell. This was voiced by my friend from Montreal. I asked him to do his most ridiculous French Canadian accent. Yeah, and the mannequin. Yeah,
I was going to say the cowboy. I spent a little bit of time with the cowboy pulling the string on the cowboy.
yeah. That was voiced by Mark. Mark did an amazing job. If you scroll down, actually, you can see the cowboy in his room. Yeah, here with this like little, next to the butterfly room. Robbie's saying the logic is organized.
It is very neat. Look at it.
Yeah, it's as neat as it like could be. It's this like little row of speakers. Those are one for each of the voice lines. So if you count them, there's like, I think 13 voice lines. Yeah. So it starts, from the left one, and each time you pull the pull string, it'll play the next voice line. Actually, I think you can play one if you click on one of those speaker icons. And it'll show up on the right, this little menu. And if you click on asset where it says SFX Cowboy Hog, yeah, and you go to custom. Are we peeking at the man? Yep, we're peeking a little bit at the man behind the curtain. Yeah, SFX, sound effects, cowboy, gallop, gunfire, hog, howdy partner. These are the voice lines that Mark provided. And I asked him to do the most ridiculous voice. It's obviously inspired by like, Woody from Toy Story.
Absolutely, yeah.
It just felt like a fun thing to do. And he was Merc is from he was from Florida, but he lived in Texas a bit, and he lives in California now. And he does like really wacky, silly voices. So I was like, okay, yeah, dude, you have to do this. And
yeah, it's brilliant.
you might even yeah.
Do you feel lucky?
Yeah.
Punk?
So yeah, this is how you would insert custom audio, and yeah, and they post up this cowboy so that he's holding up a mannequin. He's holding up a gun. This is oh yeah, and these paintings, these are all AI generated. So if you see this like old time photo, they have like potato faces. This is from Crayon. It's I've seen people have much better results with other AI generated services. So that's why mine look like potato people. This bison turned out really well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's from AI. That's crazy. I just typed in.
That's pretty cool.
Bison and, yeah. And this is the butterfly room at 1x scale. Oh, this butterfly room, there's like 5 copies of it in this room. It's insane. Like this 1x scale, you have the bigger scale we saw at the beginning. If you go into this butterfly room, there's like another copy of the butterfly room again. And it has its own copy of you can see it has its own copies. So they have like 3 butterflies each. And if you go again into its own room.
No way. Oh my lord.
It doesn't have its it has its own copy of the room. At that point, I stopped copying the butterflies. It's oh my goodness. Such a pain.
I love it. Cool. Yeah. What else is there? Where else do you want to take us through and show us around? Look, I'm happy with the performance. I understand that this is going to be this was the one that I was concerned about. So if you do want to take a look at any of the other levels, I'm happy to do that as well. So if you want to have a little bit more look around, if there's anything else that you want to have a check at in this room, we can go ahead and look at that, or we can jump into another one of your rooms.
Sure. I guess I can finish it off with if you go to the left here. Yeah, and if you scroll out. If you go forward. Yeah. And you just actually, this is a little fun tidbit. If you go back, if you scroll down into this room, this is the final area of the room. I won't spoil too much but yeah. So if you look here, you can see the little like god rays, and it's supposed to be like sunlight peeking through this door, and it's this little tease of, oh my god, it's like actually outside. But if you
as you can see, it's not, because you're the real one, and the simulation is the player inside the game playing Escape Simulator, and then this is the actual real world. Or is it? Are we actually in another diorama now in real life?
Yeah, very cheesy, ambiguous. Or is it? Or the end question mark sort of ending. Yeah. I mean, super like cheesy, but it's just a little fun. I
liked it. I liked it. Don't play it down. This is a very good level. This is so what? It's a cheesy concept. Everyone has, every idea's been done, but it's very well put together. So it doesn't matter about the concept. At the end of the day, it's about the puzzles and how they all kind of gel together.
Thank you. Yeah. Like with this intro area, I want to be cheesy as well. When you click on this main starting area, you'll hear Merc. Again, he'll say the Devilish Diorama 2. And that's a reference to the Resident Evil games.
Right.
When you start it, it's like Resident Evil 3 or Resident Evil 4. I just want that sort of like cheesy. So Resident Evil was actually a huge inspiration for me in terms of tone. That mixture of serious and spooky, but also just completely ridiculous. Yeah. and here's like the title area, and I had the letter spinning here where it says Quantum Quandary. So like this is, oh my goodness, this took like 4 days on its own
Wow.
just to wire up these blocks so they spin around and they like act interesting, and they wanted sort of like this like 3D logo title, just like completely extravagant, totally unrelated to the gameplay sort of flourish. Figured, might as well bump up my presentation a little bit.
It definitely gets you in the vibe. And look, honestly, I was excited after playing Devilish Diorama 1 and then having this introduction as the title screen. I was excited to play it. So you know that the effort that you've put into this was great. Like I said, I had no idea that there was this much of diversity and complexity that can be implemented in these levels. And since then I've played a lot of other different rooms, and everyone has their own little things that I'm finding out, more and more as time goes on, the more levels that I play. It's just, it blows me away how creative people can actually be in this. So, but yeah, totally worth the effort in my opinion.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you can see a little square here, this little penned off area. So like I prevent the player from running out to touch the diorama. Because I noticed before that wasn't there. When the level loads, they'll just run and like touch the diorama and start it.
Gotcha.
Which is fine. I probably should have let them in hindsight, but I was like, no, you have to stay here. You have to watch the cool little intro sequence.
No, that's perfect. Make them watch it. You spent a lot of time putting effort into it. They should watch it. So, it's like people that watch a movie and don't watch the credits at the end, or you're just making them watch it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you can see this little like sequence of like gray circles on the table. That's just like the flow of like how the title sequence plays out. So it'll kind of like shift it from like left to right, and like this gray bubble on the left will be like, okay, start spinning the Q block, and the second will be like start spinning the N block. And I timed it so like it'll like change the fog and play certain sounds. And
very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Very yeah. So that's it. That's like behind the scenes.
Cool. So we had a look at we played through Devilish Diorama 1, and we've had a look at behind the scenes on Devilish Diorama 2. I would like to. We won't look at the board games because it would be really cool if we can get more people. And we actually have a couple of the people that worked on the board games in chat at the moment. So just putting it out there, gang. If there is a few of you that would be interested in joining on the show another time, where we can actually dissect some of the things that you've done there, we can organize some time. But if you're interested, let me know. And we'll make it happen. But let's go ahead, and I reckon. What do you want to look at? Perplexing Paintings. It's your favorite one, right? We want to. All right. All right. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
How much time do you have on this stream?
Look, I'm happy to chuck another 30 to 40 minutes in. So it's how long do you want to? Do you need to take a break?
Yeah.
Do you need to?
No.
Right.
I'd love to jump into the Ominous Obelisk.
Let's do it. So we'll wrap it up with that. We'll go ahead and did you want to play it or go through the editor?
I was thinking we can go through editor. This
Cool.
seems to be working well.
Perfect. All right. Well, let's discard what we've got here and jump on into that. Been lucky enough to download it. Branch has asked, are you going to tease Devilish Diorama 3? When's it coming out? What's the next one that's on the list?
It's Inversion Incorporated. That's my next room.
Okay.
That's yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna work on the Zoetic Zoetrope, and then it's gonna be Devilish 3. So Devilish 3 does not exist outside of paper.
Right. So you've started working on the others.
Yeah. I will say that Devilish 3 is based off of a final area I cut from Devilish 2. So it's off to a good start. Oh wait, I actually do have Devilish 3 started, but yeah, I think Oh, maybe I'll tease it. We'll get back.
So you've got the concept down. You know what you're gonna do with it, and
Yeah.
Cool.
Actually, I did start to build it. I forgot to say, but we'll see.
All right. Because I did notice. I think it's in this one. Oh no, it's in Devilish Diorama too. How you have the upcoming projects for the Zestyverse. And there's about 5,000 different levels up there. So, I can see that you're, one of the things that you said when we were on the couch earlier is that you want to be pushing them out quicker. But, I think that if it's the type of thing that if you take your time with, and I don't think anyone would be mad about it if you continue to improve and your creativity as you have done up until now. So my suggestion is to take your time and make sure it's polished as much as possible, and don't try and push that stuff out. But it'd be very, very interesting to see.
For sure.
Cool.
It's Valve time.
Let's where are we here? We're inside the title screen. Is this the starting area?
Yep. This is the end. This is the exit room, and this is probably my favorite part of this level. This is the money room, as I call it.
So yet another reminder for anyone that is in chat at the moment, or if you're watching the VOD after the stream, we are looking at behind the scenes, behind the room in these particular levels. So if you haven't played them, I highly recommend pausing and going to play them, and then coming back and checking this out if you are interested in hearing how things are put together, because we are going to be discussing things that's kind of going to take it away from you. And I played these levels blind without understanding anything that I was going to expect, and it is a very good experience. So just a reminder. But where should we go, Zesty? Where do we go from here?
We can start right here.
Wonderful.
This is the final area. This little prize package, and I was telling Franch earlier that I made this room to make fun of the contest. This whole time you have this anagram gnome, which is a mix-up of Omen, and it stands for Need Our Money. And this is me saying that the developers were begging HyperX for money to sponsor a contest.
Right.
I love fine. This is so ridiculous.
A little bit of tongue in cheek. I'm curious to see the other levels. I definitely am going to check them out now that I know that there was competitions. So you said there was 3 when we were talking on the couch earlier. There's been 3 competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd love to check that out. Look, maybe once I've finished Best of 2022, then I'll play through those. It'd be really cool to sort of have a little bit of time capsule of those little competitions as well.
Yeah. I'll see you, French. Yeah, Robin, who's in chat, she was in the contest as well. She did, what was it called? It's All Led Up to This, which is another amazing contest. All of the top 10 are amazing. Should definitely check them out. You get a chance. Yeah, so this is the money room, and you have your guy doing the dollar bills flying around everywhere.
Make it rain.
Yeah, and this room's a little pyramid. Everything in this room is a diamond or a pyramid in some way. That was the architecture I went with. We can fly out. There's not much else here. Yeah, just like stacks of cash everywhere, and it's adjacent to the keyboard room, which is the second floor of the room.
Yeah, can we get to where's the beginning? It would be nice to sort of like go from the start.
Just fly forward. Yeah.
Well, this level definitely runs a little bit better than the previous one.
Nice. That's good. Yeah, just keep flying forward to this. Here. Look, go to your right.
Yes.
Yeah, you can see this is the title screen here. This is when I started doing like really.
Let's just have a quick zoom out. I'm just curious to see the scale of these things. So, so this is the introduction area where you walk into the pyramid at the beginning, and this is the title screen over here.
Yep.
Cool.
And this is the main area. Yeah, this was a nightmare to build in 11 days. I had COVID at the time, so that did not help.
Yeah.
But I think just like that time pressure really pushed me to work on this a lot more than I would have without the time pressure. And and I got to this. I have little Tomb Raider crystals on the side here, just like this big. I had little this is when I started the Zestyverse, and just I added a checkpoint this time because the level was so long. And if you go to the left, that's the beginning area where you're in like Egypt, and you pull up with this car, which is actually a toy car, and it's just like a little sectioned off square area. So the rest of the level will be hidden at this point, but I add those in when you like hit a trigger, so it all looks like a sand sort of deserty area. And yeah, you go into the hyperverse, and it switches all the Egypt assets with like these like black hyperverse assets, and then you walk into the pyramid up ahead, or the ominous obelisk, as it really should be. And this is just like a so like you kind of walk up here. Yeah, so I switch out the Sphinx with the Omen gaming case. This blue trigger here will open up the door that slides the pyramid open. And like if you look inside, it's just like this like empty sort of pyramid. It's just like, and it'll teleport you to the main area. So this is sort of like a facade. Yeah. So it's just, this is like, yeah, this is what it really looks like. It's just like an emptiness here. And then you get teleported to the main area. And yeah, if you just go to the right, yeah, because all of this is like, I don't use the standard assets as I mentioned earlier, no Victorian walls or anything like that. So it's all just like planes with these like this sort of diamond black and gray texture. So I have a lot of these red walls to act as obstacles, since I was making a lot of geometry from scratch. Yeah, and like there's these 4 zones.
So I guess what we'll do is we'll check out each one of the zones, but is there, which one do we have access to first? If I recall correctly, it's the blue one. Yeah. There's not too much you can really do in here at the beginning, but we do have pretty early access to that one, don't we?
Yeah, this blue room. Oh, actually, what's fun is if you like zoom out and you look into the blue room here, it's actually inside a giant PC case. So this asset was... Yeah.
Right.
You can actually click on this PC case and you can like scale it down.
Yeah. I won't break anything.
And yeah, that's just yeah.
But you can see that this PC case is part of the original asset, so of the game. Yeah. I think you see it in the Omega levels the towards the end of the game. So yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Oh, you can even see the little red blue things here. This is actually part of an older puzzle that I cut out.
Oh yeah.
But instead of deleting it, yeah, I just shifted it out to the where it was out of view.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah. It was a puzzle that was like, it confused a lot of people. So yeah, that was really important to me that, I see how players react, and I cut out, I usually end up cutting like 10% of the puzzles from launch just based on feedback. Yeah, and then you slide the RAM slots in and it'll adjust the walls. This is really fun because I wanted to use this PC case asset in an interesting way, and I realized if you scaled it up, it's like a level in and of itself.
Yeah.
And I thought these like RAM slots would be cool as like a barrier, and like you're standing on the GPU. So this was like a nice area. You can see the diamond tile here. This would be like one of the later unlockable pieces. So that was a lot of fun. And the PC case actually has glass on it. So this, like, you see this blue diamond here, this like blue door frame where you walk into the PC case.
Mm-hmm.
This actually has glass, but because of the way the lighting is, it's like almost invisible. So this whole time players are walking through this like little glass wall, but
gotcha.
No one notices it.
Ah.
Yeah. So that was a nice little workaround for me, because I couldn't like bore a hole through that glass case. This is one asset.
Yeah.
And this pink room is This pink room is I think the first puzzle I came up with, the numpad.
Yeah, so this is the one that we were talking about earlier on the couch. I really liked the concept of this. It was the fact that, like I said, you can't jump, so it's a very clever puzzle in the way that you have to unlock things in a certain order. And once you're able to, get access to different keys, which then can be used to your advantage to be able to bring walls down and move around. It's good. It does require a bit of, planning and thinking on which one you can, which codes you can actually access first. So what made you come up with this sort of concept? Was there any sort of inspiration behind this one?
I think just I'm seeing Thorano saying he noticed the glass.
Of
That's
course,
funny.
of course.
Thorano's sharp. Thorano is, I would argue, the smartest guy on the Escape Simulator community creator, community of creators. But yeah. As for this puzzle, no, I think I just. Yeah, I think I was just looking at the peripherals that they provided, the keyboards and the mice, and I was trying to come up with puzzles. And I thought of one with like the letters on the keyboard. That comes into later. And um and I saw this numpad, but this really worked for me because it was like a 3x3 grid, and like I could work with this. And if you do like a 4-digit pin that you have to walk through, it can have these sort of interesting paths. I experimented with 5-digit pins, but then it became less fun. If it was a 3-digit pin, it's too straightforward. So that was a little bit of experimentation. Um, yeah, this took a while to set up. This was like 2 days on its own just to wire it up and just have this progression that was fun. Figuring out where to position the sliding doors. Yeah, this gave me a lot of trouble.
You can
Yeah,
tell,
glad-
like like I said, it's you got to do it in a specific order. So I can only imagine like reverse engineering this and figuring out the troubles that you'd have to go through, because it's it requires a bit of logic, with being able to get these doors and whatnot. How is it? So there's mechanics that allow you to be able to obviously move assets in and out of place, which is something that you've used quite a lot in different all the different levels.
Yeah.
So it's can we do anything with these? Can we actually interact with that to make the door move away?
Yeah. So if you if you click on this, if you just click again once more, yeah, you can see on the right here, this is the alternate gates button.
Yeah.
And you can see the behavior says behavior as button. And if you scroll down, it'll show the logic that it's impacts. So on press it, it toggles this lock. So if you click on that lock, it'll show the logic that it's tied to.
Gotcha.
And this will control these gates. So it'll toggle the animation state of all these doors, and
I see.
yeah, it'll just kind of bring them up and down. And I also have logic on this big screen here that shows the digits as you're pressing them. Instead of showing the actual digits, I just show asterisks because it's a huge pain to display individual digits.
Works to your advantage because that's how passwords should be, right? So it's
Right.
it would have been weird if you could just see the numbers come up.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah. And this keyboard is actually, if you go to the right here, it's actually just a small part of the keyboard. So if you if you keep going forward past this wall, keep going, you can see the rest of the keyboard just kind of extends into the void.
Gotcha.
And I positioned this room so that this wouldn't clip with the rest of the level.
I see.
I even have like leftover logic here. This isn't used, but I just left things in here. That's so funny.
Things you'll only see if you open it up in the editor. I love it. Because I am going to be looking at other levels now. It's and having looked behind the scenes. So I'm sure I'm gonna uncover some things.
Sure.
I'm sure you won't be the only person.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like Thuranio and French, they have incredibly elaborate logic systems. Thuranio is saying that he was mentioning the display can be controlled with display logic. That's true. Now Escape Sim gives you the ability to like control like what shows up on screens dynamically. It's very a lot more powerful. Yeah, and I could show you the green room. This is a favorite of mine. The holograph room or hologram room. And
wow.
it's very messy. What I did was I took these 3 scenes and I just kind of like stacked them on top of each other, and you can see some of like these hologram actors here. So in the game, they act as like this like holographic man that kind of goes through some animations, and they're just like keyframes like that I post, so that I kind of superimpose them over here. So you can see that's like 4 guys here stacked, each holding a magnifying glass, and he's just kind of like looking around. And over there's the painter. He's painting. Yeah, so like there's like various animation frames of him. So I just kind of swapped through these frames as part of the animation. It's pretty simple, but it worked for me at the time. And this is the guy looking through the books. Yeah. And over, if you go to the yellow room, it's the same thing. It's the same room. but with if you go this way, yeah, it's a sort of same situation where I have these like 3 rooms that are stacked one another, but this time instead of being a hologram, these are like physical objects you can interact with, and yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I really like this puzzle. I felt like that it was once you're able to sort of get the idea, again, clicked quite quickly for me, which was good, understanding what we needed to do. So yeah, you definitely were successful in making sure that it was logical in this sense, and not easy either, you know, like it was definitely still, you know, you still get that aha moment. It was like, so that room aligns with this room, you know, so because you don't unlock them at the same time. And that's one of those things is that, you know, with information that we've learned previously or earlier on in the level, that, you know, remembering to use that later on. You know, a perfect example of these holders here where you place the signs down into and rotate them around. Whilst it is a very simple puzzle, obviously with only 4 pieces, you see that at the very beginning, and it's always in your mind that there is somewhere that you need to, you know, you continue to find these pieces laying around the level and popping them in there, and then you know where to go afterwards. So same sort of concept with those levels where you're able to, you know, see that there's a hologram in there, because I believe when I played it, I accessed the hologram first and I hadn't unlocked the other room yet, or the other way around, and it was again very much a aha moment when you were able to see, once they all, you know, pretty much mirrored images of the same thing. So I liked the idea behind this.
Thank you. Yeah, it really helped a lot too, because this occupied 2 of these rooms. So instead of having to come up with 4 separate types of puzzles, I only had to do 3, which was the RAM motherboard room, the numpad puzzle room, and this hologram room. I was gonna have another 4th room that would occupy this yellow space. It was gonna be like this audio puzzle, because you know one of the assets is wireless headphones, but it wasn't accessible to like deaf people, and it just didn't fit well. So this was a nice workaround. Yeah.
Wonderful.
And
Go on, sorry.
oh, and yeah, and to touch on a previous point I made, this is a very like inspired by Zelda dungeon. So the closest thing this would resemble would be like the Forest Temple in Ocarina of Time, and you're collecting these like 4 pieces to travel upwards, so sort of like gating off
or
areas.
the water temple. Whilst it is in water, but yeah, it's a similar sort of concept where you're able to elevate up and whatnot.
Yeah.
Cool.
And this little elevator shaft you travel up, and during the sequence it moves the whole level up and down with you. And once you reach the top, then it teleports you to the giant keyboard maze, which this was the last thing I came up with. This went through a lot of revisions where there's an Easter egg on the back of this blue cow can. It's a little message I left for the other creators. It says, I was saying this contest theme is, you know,
this contest theme is
weird.
interesting. Not the first theme that comes to mind, but still excited to see what everyone comes up with. If you're still reading this, thank you so much for playing. Wishing you an awesome day. Oh, look, I looked right at this can. I didn't see that. This was the first time that I saw the blue cow. I thought that was very funny. But you said that this was in Devilish Diorama 1 or 2?
In 2.
2.
Yeah.
Where was that again?
It was in the apartment sequence. It was on the bookshelf.
Gotcha. I think I do recall seeing it now. Yeah.
And and at the bottom of the can I say, you know, stop drinking this is terrible for you. At the bottom of the can, your caffeine, just stop.
Drink some water. That's great.
Yeah, I really look down on these drinks. Ironically, though, with my current work schedule, I've actually started to drink Red Bull pretty regularly, so kind of a hypocrite.
So now I have to correct this. Now you'd be like, except for times when you really need it at work and need to be awake. Just add that extra line on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
And yeah, this is the keyboard maze. There's if you look to the right, floating in the void are some like leftover assets. You can see a hand here. There's like a mannequin. These I just left because they were like original copies of these props, and I didn't. I wanted to use them in a future room, so like these would be like handy. And also a copy of the keyboard because it's a pain. Because this keyboard, holy shit, it's like dozens of individual keys with their own textures. Like that took 2 days on its own just to make. Um,
So this is
and
a
so I
fully
scaled
custom
it up.
keyboard.
Yeah, you can even click on one of these buttons and like move it around.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so here, like in the small one, they'd be buttons on a panel, but in the main keyboard maze, there are like physical walls. So the red bits are the parts you can't walk; those are obstacles. The blue bits are like triggers for teleports in case during multiplayer, if someone raises a key that a player's standing on, it'll like send them back. Yeah, each key has its own set of logic. This blue line that bisects the keyboard, that's like a teleport that will activate the security system in case the player finds a way to sneak past it early on. And when the security starts, then this guy's like hands will like come up and start shooting lasers. So each laser has like its own like blue boundary around it, and if it touches the player, it'll reset them. This desktop wallpaper is actually a picture of mine from the Dominican Republic. I didn't want to use like a copyrighted image. I just took one of my vacation photos.
Oh,
That's kinda
nice.
quick and dirty.
Nice little,
Yeah.
nice little tidbit.
Yeah. And yeah, this was a fun room to make. I just wanted to make something really big and expansive. Just like this is the final room, so I'm gonna like show off the scale as much as I can. And I always knew the ending of the Ominous Obelisk would result in you getting to the escape key of a keyboard. So that's why there's a exit right there next to the escape key.
Yeah, that was again
I made-
another funny moment. I like the little touches of humor that you chuck in there.
Yeah. This was a lot of fun. I originally had plans to make that giant Anubis to be like fully rigged, have like a face and a mouth, and he would like talk to you, and
But
it would be the sequence.
Sorry, remind me again. How long did it take you to make this? Was it 11 days?
Yeah, 11 days.
Yeah, that's insane, man. That's insane.
Yeah, it was very tiring. Yeah, and you can see the floor is empty there because you can't really see past the barriers on the sides. So you're kind of like this, like it's like this bridge over the expanse.
Very,
This was
very
a lot of
cool. Yeah. So what's next on the agenda? What have you got planned? So you were mentioning we had a little bit of a discussion earlier on. Let's what we'll do is just so we can finish up, so we have someone in front of us. If you wanna load up a level, just so that it's not like I'm talking to myself. And what we'll do is we'll wrap it up, and we'll have a quick little bit of a chat. It's a little bit too much to jump back into VR, to say goodbye. But is there anything else in this level in particular that you wanted to have a look at, that you wanted to showcase that we haven't covered yet?
No, that's it. We can jump into a level. Yeah, this is good for now.
Perfect. So if you want to flick me the code, do you want to go into Perplexing Paintings? You want to?
Sure. Yeah. Let's end it there.
All right, perfect. Let's see where it all began. We won't play through the level, but just have a little, we'll play a little bit of it. Have a little bit of an idea of what's there, and then we'll wrap it up while we're in there. So go ahead and jump on in, flick me the code, and we'll go over.
Sounds good.
So I will jump on in. Let me make sure that I don't chuck that code up on screen. And we will be right there. Alrighty. Exit. Scarred. Cool. It's been cool, man. It's been very interesting. I having a look at the creative process behind it is very, very cool. I like the it's given me, now that I know that I can actually jump on in and have a look at these games, these rooms by simply copying the level. That's something that's yeah, I'm gonna have fun dissecting some things, and you know, looking at people's levels and seeing what's in there and what's left over, and it'll be really cool if we can, you know, have some other people that would be keen to jump on the panel as well, and you know, if they've got VR, even if they don't, you know, we can definitely sort that out. But this is where it all began. This is where it all began. This is Perplexing Paintings. Now, we've been joking about this the whole time, you know, like, but genuinely, like, this is your first level that you ever created, and it's you know, that you've published, and I personally enjoyed it. It is, you know, there's some interesting puzzles, but let's make our way in there and have a little bit of a look around, and you can just see like the difference in complexity and you know, the type of puzzles that you've actually sort of making now only 9 months later, you know, is very you know, very interesting. And the funny thing is that when I did play this initially, I didn't know about some of the hints, like some of the clues that were there. That let's not, we won't do anything here. We'll move forward. But yeah, some of the clues I didn't pick up on, and I still like figured it out. But this here is what I was referring to earlier on, is that I can tell that this has you know, like I said, a bit of inspiration into you know, it may not seem like it on the surface, but it definitely, you can tell that there's some inspiration from this particular puzzle here. Now, if you do end up playing this level, you'll either get what I mean by saying that it has similarities with Devilish Diorama, but this is what I was referring to on the couch in relations to, you know, placing these in the correct location. So I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
But here we are. This is where it all began. Perplexing Paintings. It's a very, very tricky room. Especially, you know what? You know what the thing that really got me on this level is the is the final pin. One of the final that 4-digit pin that you need to chuck in. That was a doozy. That was you know, and within saying that, the logic that I just spoke about, and I think that's why I've emphasized a lot on that, is because you can see that play style, of that design has actually carried over in your other levels. So it's you know, like I said over there, and you know, that last pin, once I kind of remembered the solution for that puzzle, it was that aha moment. It was like, of course it's that, you know. But I won't go into detail about what that is, just to save it for people that do want to play. But the mistake that I made was that I was trying to figure it out from this side, and you know, I was from the wrong side basically, so it was a little bit confusing. So, but did you want to have a quick look through here? How long does it take to open up the rest of the level? Can you? We're not gonna spoil anything here. You can just open up the doors. The door's open, right? How did you know that, Matt? How did you know that pin? Are you cheating? What are you looking up a walkthrough? What are you doing, mate?
Yeah.
So yeah, essentially this level, again, I personally liked it. I enjoyed it. Once you kind of get the idea behind it, and we've got access to the final room here almost, so I'll make a look over here. Oh, look at this vase. Isn't that a nice vase? Oh, isn't that? Can we throw this? Can we break it? That was one thing that I've noticed with a lot of levels, is that sometimes these items are breakable and they're not. So I like that. I like that.
Yeah. This glass case is actually breakable if you chuck the vase.
Yeah.
This
right.
This was unintentional, but
Oh.
and then later you can disable physics.
Ah. Hey. Nice.
There's nothing useful there, but
one of the things that I got stuck on Melonverse's levels with the I knew the orientation. I'm not sure if you've played it, but yeah, one of the levels I was anticipating to use an item. Whenever I'm using an item on an object, I expect to see it locked into place. So that instance there where I knew that there was a solution there for quite some time, but I didn't use it because it didn't lock into place, and it took me far longer than it should have to actually try and throw something at the object, at the glass, to then proceed forward with the level. So yeah, I learned that the hard way. So now I'm second guessing myself all the time. Ripping codes off locks and stuff, and you know, being scared of like getting glitched out, and but yeah, look, but we won't unless there's anything in this level that you wanted to touch base on. This is essentially a quick overlook of your very first level.
Yeah, not much to say. It's a very large level. It has a lot of art to look at. It was I think it's very overstimulating despite its like Spartan appearance. So this definitely helped me learn a lot. Watching how players will kind of go back and forth between different paintings. I relied a lot less on contextual sort of puzzles, like people will go up to the Guernica painting and they'll be like, oh, maybe the bull will like signify something, or maybe this I don't know, this king's crown here is like relevant to the chess piece somewhere else. And
yeah, I definitely had that feeling as well. There's a lot of things in here, and especially when the emphasis is on the paintings themselves. You know, it is quite easy to overcomplicate things. But look, in some rooms that is a good thing, you know. But it's it's your very first room, and I think for a first room, it's you've implemented a lot of good concepts and improved on that. So. Is there anywhere in particular you want to end it, or where did it all start? Where was the very first room that you built for this place? Where was the concept of that?
I guess it was the main lobby.
Lobby?
Yeah.
All right.
Just ended off here.
I think that is a good place to end it. But Zesty, thank you so much for taking me around. Thanks for joining the show. And jumping in VR, coming over to Rec Room, and jumping on the couch. It was fun for a pilot episode. I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the future. If there is any other builders that is keen to go through something similar, we'll go through it and have a look at the levels. But thank you so much. Here we are, finishing it off at where it all began, in your first room. And we've covered a lot of information. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And
this is amazing.
Yeah, I had a really, really good time, and I think everything, all in all, went pretty smooth. No major crashes. A few things here and there, but I think we did pretty well.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I shake your hand if that's good.
Yeah, let's just pretend. Let's let here you go. There we go. We're shaking hands. There we go. We can do like a little nudge type thing. It's that'll suffice.
Little Eskimo kiss.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your detailed explanations. And thanks for the chats. I'm really looking forward to seeing what future plans and future projects you have up ahead. And it'll be awesome to see.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Pi. Looking forward to future streams.
No worries, mate. You have a good one, and I'll chat to you soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
Cheers, mate.
All right. See ya. All right.
Alrighty, gang. Here we are. What an adventure. That was good fun. I had a blast. It was we went through different phases. I like that we started off over in Rec Room, and we were able to, transition over. The original plan was not to do that because we had some issues. Just, as you saw, we was struggling a little bit. Just for performance wise, but I had a brilliant time. It was really, really cool having the opportunity just to chat casually about the levels and what we were able to sort of cover off, and it was fun being in VR at the beginning. But look, even within saying that, I think that we've learnt a lot. In the way that we can kind of present this in the future. If there are other builders that are willing to come and jump in on the show and talk about their levels, you are more than welcome to do so. Let me know. You know where to find me. I'm in the Discord, so we will go ahead and do that. But a special thanks to Zesty for making the time, for coming past the streams. After I played Zesty's levels, was popped past. And, helped me out with the board game. Just with these little hints here and there. Like I said, it took me 5 hours. It took me 5 hours to complete that level. But thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for the show. Zesty in chat. Thank you. Callan, all of the crew, the community that had popped past, the Escape Simulator community. Popping past in chat, thank you so much for saying hello and checking it out. I appreciate it a lot. And until next time, gang, we are going to leave it there. We are going to wrap up. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. We will be here tomorrow for our final stream of the week, playing some more Escape Simulator. So until next time, gang, a bon voyage.